What's up, everybody? Good morning and a happy Friday. A little TGIF to all of you. Big thanks for tuning in wherever, however you're tuning in. Radio dials, there's a couple of those 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Available online to stream at sportstalk1051.com. You got your app, download it, take it on the go. Smart devices, smart speakers, and of course, the video streams that are up and rolling YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch. But a happy Friday, everybody. What do we got on our good old game plan for us this week? Or this, not this week, for this morning. Excuse me. See, I'm ready for the weekend. Well, as Lou Brown from the Cinematic Classic Major League said, you win 3, that's called a winning streak. Brewers officially on a winning streak after picking up a 1-0 victory against the Cincinnati Reds last night in game 1 of their 4-game series. Nestor Cortes looking sharp. Nice bounce back performance from him after having an awful start on Saturday against the Yankees. Cortes picking up the win, going 6 innings, giving up just 1 hit, striking out 6. And issuing just 2 walks. The lone run coming from Sal Frelick, RBI. Sal Frelick, a couple hits last night for him. Got his average up to a 320 this season. Terang also sitting at 321 with a hit. Brewers just 5 hits, and 2 of those coming from good old Sal. He had Jackson Cheerio with that double as well. So, but yeah, Brewers holding on tight to a obviously very close game. Pyom's picking up the save. He won an inning. Hudson picking up the hold. Peguero picking up the hold. So Cortes, not only did he look sharp last night, but eating up some innings and going a little deep here for the Brewers to pick up that first win of a 4-game series against the Reds. Back at it tonight for game 2 of this 4-game series. We've got on the mound for the Brewers. Again, it's going to be kind of another initial opener sort of feel there. So we'll talk some Brewers throughout the morning, especially when we get to our guy Mr. Berg coming up, Brandon Berg. So we'll hit that up and talk plenty of Brew Crew this morning. And then the Bucks picking up a win last night thanks to a historic night from Giannis. Just continue to add his name to some impressive records, but or firsts in this case. Triple-double for Giannis last night. Also, dude was 10 of 11 from the free throw. Want to make sure we give a little bit of credit there because he was very effective from the charity stripe. But 35 points, 20 assists, and 17 rebounds. I'll repeat that line that Giannis had, because just let it kind of like settle in, like, 35 points, 20 assists, and 17 rebounds. That was his triple-double last night, for crying out loud. That's you want to talk about an all-around game? No player has ever had a 35-point, 20 assists, 15 rebound triple-double until Giannis did last night. And he shot 63% from the flipping field. I mean, wow. Now, Jokic and Wilt Chamberlain, if we want to kind of go like a 35 points, 20 rebounds and 15 assists, like a 30-20-15 game, Jokic and Wilt Chamberlain each had 35 points, 20 rebounds, and 15 assists. But this is the first ever where a player has scored 35 points, 20 assists, and 15 rebounds. Dude's had a lot of fantastic games, but this is, if you're talking about straight up numbers and just overall play, it'll be tough to find one that matches that. But with the win, the Bucks also moving to the 5th spot in the Eastern Conference, moving ahead of the Detroit Pistons. So, well, we got a half dozen games left here. So Bucks moving up a little bit after that fantastic game for me. I don't know what we can say to describe it. I mean, unbelievable. Unbelievable what this guy is doing right now. And the thing is like I still feel like he's not getting talked about enough this year. And that's kind of the downer with how this Buck season has gone, because I don't feel like they're gonna make a deep run in the postseason. And this is all with Giannis having the game that he's having. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. So, Doc Rivers before the game last night too. Gave us a little bit of an update on Damian Lillard. Dame was potentially going to travel with the team before the game yesterday, but he's not. However, Doc Rivers saying before the game that they've got much more hope yesterday than they did 3 days ago regarding a potential return for Damian Lillard. Full quote from Eric Ney from The Athletic. Yeah, we decided against it for Dame traveling. He had a great report the other day. The numbers are phenomenal, and why mess with it was our thing. Why fly him or anything? It could affect that. We have much more hope today than we did 3 days ago. I can tell you that. And so we're going to take everything that we can do to see if there is a way we can get him back. So that would be a huge boost if they get him back. But also remember, too, we are getting close to Bobby Portis returning from his suspension. So it would be a nice little boost here. I believe it's Tuesday that Bobby Portis is eligible to come back. So, but we'll talk a little bit more about this thing with Dame and the blood clot with Dr. Crow. Hopefully our phone lines are actually working this morning. With Dr. Crow for a little inside the training room under an hour from now, just past 7 o'clock. Dr. Crow, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. We'll continue our Packers potential prospect series. We are 3 weeks away from day 2 of the NFL draft, so officially under 3 weeks from the first round of the NFL draft. But our potential prospect series kind of looks at maybe a player that the Packers would draft with the first round pick, or maybe early day 2. And we are going to look at a couple more defensive players. And that's one of them is going to be Mike Green. I know maybe not a lot of people have heard about Mike Green, but Mike Green, an edge rusher from Marshall. We'll talk about him, give you a little bit of a background on him. And then Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan. So those will be the two potential prospects that we're going to talk about for the Packers coming up in just a little bit. So got that. We'll talk a little college hoops. We got the Final Four. The women's tip off tonight. The men's tip off tomorrow. But yesterday came the news that John Blackwell, Badger guard, is entering the NBA, or declaring, for the NBA draft, but electing to remain or keep his college eligibility. So essentially this was similar to what AJ Storr did last year. Declared for the NBA draft, but kept his eligibility, went through the NBA draft process, got some feedback from NBA scouts, and then he went to go play with Kansas. The difference is with Blackwell here a little bit. He's already said if he comes back to college, it will be for Wisconsin. It will be for Wisconsin. So Blackwell coming out with a statement yesterday saying, "Dear Badger Nation, after speaking with Coach Gard, the coaching staff, Life Sports Agency, and my family, I'm excited to declare for the NBA draft while maintaining my collegiate eligibility. My goal has always been to play in the NBA, and going through the process will take me one step closer to my dream. I'd like to give glory to God, as without him, I wouldn't be in this position. I'm extremely thankful for my family for their unwavering support and guidance during the process. I also want to thank my teammates, coaches, and the support staff for challenging me every day to become a better person and player. Finally, I'd like to thank our fans for their incredible energy and enthusiasm. They help make the Kohl Center such a special place to play. If I decide to wait another season before playing at the next level, I plan to come back to play for Coach Gard in Madison. Once a Badger, always a Badger." And Greg Gard also came out with a statement after this was reported and revealed yesterday, saying, John and I have talked many times about his dream to play in the NBA, and our staff and I fully support his decision to declare for the NBA draft while maintaining his eligibility at Wisconsin. John has been a tremendous player for our program the last 2 seasons and has the drive to be the best player on the floor wherever he is playing. This is a win-win opportunity for John to receive feedback from the NBA personnel while retaining the ability to play for our program next fall. So don't freak out too much yet, Badger fans, okay? It's going to go through the process. And if he gets feedback where he might be like a late pick or maybe not even drafted overall, he'll come back. He's going to get feedback from scouts. Hey, we want to see more of this. We want to see you improve in this area. Work on this for part of your game. Go back to college and work on this area. And then let's revisit it next year just to get that feedback from NBA scouts. So this is what's different from the AJ Store. By the way, AJ Store declaring that he's entering the transfer portal. 8 schools in 8 years. Jeez. But the difference is Blackwell said if he does come back to play college basketball, it will be for Wisconsin. But so we'll talk some college hoops coming up a little bit later on. We've got Inside we mentioned that Inside Trading, local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center with our guy Brandon Berg. Pump the Brakes, Full Throttle, brought to you by AJM Automotive. We'll get to that just past 8 o'clock, along with a little cream of the crop. You can play along with your cream of the crop. Send us your picks for cream of the crop. So we've got a loaded game plan coming at you this morning. Let's jump right into it. We're going to talk some Brewers. We're going to talk some Giannis. We're going to talk some Packers all in the first hour to get things going. So let's jump right into it. Our first break, and then we've got the leadoff to get things going this morning. Join in on the convo. Hit us up with a text or visit us on the video streams and join those chat rooms over there. All right, we'll be back in just a couple minutes. Spring is here, which means one thing, and that's turkey hunting season. So, you've got your tags, the dates, you're heading out to the woods, but what's missing? It's that new turkey shotgun and some extra shells. So it's time to hit up Tilden Gun, locally owned and operated. Tilden Gun has the best selection of firearms in the area and all at the best prices in the area. Their expert staff will help you find the hunting firearm that you want that fits your price range. And if you're not a turkey hunter, but you're in the market maybe for a new deer rifle, or you want to check out their wall of handguns, they will help you find just what you're looking for. And if you have a little left over from that tax return this season, purchase something for yourself this year. You deserve it. So give them a visit today at tildengun.com or check out their shop located at 12427 98th Avenue in Chippewa Falls. And now the only thing left on your to-do list is turkey hunting season. It's working on that calling game of yours, your turkey calling game of yours. Let's jump right into it, shall we? I want to touch on a little Bucks, Brewers, and Packers all within this hour. So let's start it off with the Brewers, who picked up their third win in a row yesterday. And again, we use the definition of a winning streak from Lou Brown from the Cinematic Classic Major League. Brewers are now on a winning streak, picking up a 1-0 victory over the Reds last night. Nestor Cortes with a very nice bounce-back performance from his atrocious start last Saturday. He went 6 strong innings, just giving up 1 hit, striking out 6, and issuing 2 walks. The lone RBI coming from Mr. Sal Frelick, who has been off to a very good start this season. His average now up to 320, OPS 734. So Sal Frelick picking up a couple hits in last night's game. Brewers just 5 hits overall and only 1 walk. Yelich walked last night. That was it. But the Brewers able to hold on to after Cortes went out. Peguero picking up a holds, Hudson, and then Piumps picking up the save because Trevor McGill was unavailable last night. But a solid win for the Crew to get their third win in a row, to improve to 3-4 in a season. And just outside of the win, I think you look at what Cortes did last night, just looked a lot more comfortable, looked a lot more decisive on the pitching mound. And he had talked a little bit about it, his previous start, and just kind of said, they kind of knew exactly what he was going to do. I mean, it's very good scouting report, and obviously they're very, very familiar with him and such, but he looked a lot more confident last night and a lot more decisive, and dude was hitting the zones. And I mean, he looked really, really good last night. So besides the win, that's the biggest takeaway I have from the game last night, is that Nestor Cortes looked really, really good. And that's back-to-back performances from the starting pitching staff with Freddie Peralta and now Nestor Cortes that you got to feel a lot better about. I mean, Freddie, we were probably feeling a lot better about, or feeling confident about, but after what we saw from Nestor Cortes, you got to be feeling pretty good. How about this stat when it talks about the Brewers and their pitching staff? So we know how bad they began, right? The first 33 innings of this season, of this Brewers season, 45 earned runs and a 12.27 ERA. That's the first 33 innings. In the last 26 innings pitched, just 1 earned run and a .34 ERA. And it kind of started maybe with Chad Patrick, right? That was kind of the dude that got everything going here. Settled it down a little bit after Freddie's first start of the season. Freddie, again, didn't have a bad opening day. But after the last, 2 games of that series against the Yankees and the first one against the Royals, it was Chad Patrick that kind of came in and helped settle things down a little bit. And then he goes out there, pitches well. Freddie comes out, pitches incredibly well. And then Nestor Cortes pitches incredibly well yesterday. So I saw this from Buster Olney. Starting pitching team ERA through the first week of the season. Rockies have the best one, 1.35. Twins are actually the worst, 7.59. So, but I have to see where the Brewers are on that that list here. So, but looking at the rest of the series now, I think when you look at these next 3 games with the Reds, with kind of like, okay, who's going to be the openers and who's going to get the majority of the innings. Now this is maybe where we get a little bit nervous. Okay, we got through Freddie's. Shouldn't say got through Freddie's. Freddie went through it. We were confident heading into that one, feeling good about our chances. Nestor goes out there last night, does a really good job. Now it's the unknown territory, which I'm a little bit nervous. I would expect other Brewers fans are going to be nervous about this just because we don't know what to expect. We don't know what to expect from these pitchers now, because how long are they going to be able to go? How long are they going to be able to be extended and stretched out, right? This should be Aaron Savali's turn through the rotation, but it's not because he's on the injured list. So now we are entering a little bit of an unknown territory here when it comes to these next 3 games for the Brewers. And that is a little bit nervous or a little nerve-wracking. And rightfully so. We don't know how it's going to play out. We don't, I mean, is it going to be, for gosh sakes, what we saw against the Yankees and such? I mean, or are we going to get like a Chad Patrick, one of, a nice surprise outing or such? It's an unknown right now, and that's maybe a little nerve-wracking at this point. So I hope, I hope that maybe we're surprised a little bit, and maybe the Brewers could pick up a couple wins in these final 3 games to secure a series win. But, it's going to be tough just because of the unknown factor with who's going to be out there and who's going to be able to pitch, and can they, eat some innings to where that bullpen's not taxed. Now, the benefit will be is that the Brewers do have an off day on Monday. They got a little bit of an off day there, so before they have to travel to Colorado and then take on Arizona. So they got that coming up here because the last off day they had was a week ago today. And that's where it was kind of getting a concern with a lot of these pitchers, especially in that first weekend against the Yankees, using them up and using up or eating up a lot of innings. So to have Chad Patrick and Freddie Peralta and now Nestor Cortez go deep in their last 3 starts, it's provided a little bit of breathing room for this pitching staff. Not a complete, sigh of relief like, oh, we got through this. Let's get through this weekend. Because I think if we can get through this weekend and then you have that off day on Monday, and then Quintana is eligible to come back on the 11th against that Arizona, or in that Arizona series, you start to maybe breathe a little bit easier. And then, Tobias is going to be right after that. Hopefully Aaron Savali will be right after that. And then your starting pitching staff can kind of start to get back to what we thought it was going to be and settle down here a little bit and get back to a normal rotation and routine. So, but yeah, I haven't seen right now who the starter is going to be for today for the initial outgetter or the opener for the Brewers. I have not seen that. I don't think the Brewers haven't even made it official at this point. Yeah, Pat Murphy last night did not announce who tomorrow's pitcher will be, but it will not be Carlos Rodriguez. So a little bit of an unknown, and maybe a little. I'm sure Pat Murphy and the Brewers know who it is or have a really good idea who it's going to be. Call a little bit of a competitive advantage or gamesmanship, if you will. They know, but they're going to hold off on it for a little bit and try to make the Reds probably guess a little bit, because then they can't really figure out what their lineup's going to be. But Francona's been around the block quite a bit. Sure, he's got a couple of different lineup options and such to throw out there. So I think Murphy and the Brewers know what they're going to do. They're just doing a little gamesmanship and not necessarily throwing it out there for the Reds to know. So trying to find a little bit of competitive advantage anywhere that they can possibly have. So we'll talk some more Brewers though with Brandon coming up here, our resident Brewers expert and such. I do want to touch on a little bit of Bucks chat here before we get to our Packer potential prospect series. So I want to try to hit up all three of these in the first hour. But we gotta, I mean, tip of the cap. I know we're probably not fully on the Bucks bandwagon right now with just 6 games left in regular season. The Bucks are going to make the postseason, but probably not confident that they're going to make a deep run. But for crying out loud, what Giannis did last night, you gotta tip your cap to that. And just even if you're not a diehard NBA fan or you're a diehard basketball fan, soak this in because we are watching greatness within our states with one of our state teams. We are absolutely watching something phenomenal, and don't take it for granted. What Giannis is doing and what Giannis has done and what he continues to do at an insanely high level is so dang impressive. Like this season, this is what's a little frustrating and disappointing is that I think you can make the case that Giannis is having his best statistical season or just his best season overall as an individual player, and that includes his MVP years, because if you've watched his game this year, you've seen him become more consistent with the mid-range. You've seen him become more consistent with his jumper. He's even got a little turnaround fade. He's developed that because for how long all the whether they were naysayers or even Bucks fans just say, man, if he could just develop a little bit of an outside shot, a little bit of a mid-range jumper, that dude is going to be dominant and so dominant. This year he's gotten that. And that ball going through the net on some of that is just it's one of the purest sounds in all of sports. It's nothing but net. It's the swish. I mean, he's done that this year. So when you factor that in, but then you factor in he's second in the league in points, 30.4 points per game. He's sixth in rebounds, 11.9. He's averaging 6.2 assists, and he's sixth in field goal percentage. Yes, you look at the Joker's numbers, and they're, for a big man, they're amazing too. But what Giannis is doing, I feel like he needs to be talked more about the season that he is having, individually having, than what the national media or even some maybe state media and local media is giving him credit for. This dude is so fantastic. And I hope, again, if you're not a diehard basketball fan, but you're just a supporter of Wisconsin sports and such, don't take what we're seeing from Giannis for granted. Because this dude is special. Insanely special. And then last night, I know the running joke is like, what else could we say about Giannis? And it seems like every once in a while, maybe every couple weeks or so, it's like, oh, he did something that nobody has done, or it's been forever. But he became the first player in NBA history to have 35 points, 20 assists, and 17 rebounds. A triple-double, but the first to have the 35 points, 20 assists, and 17 rebounds. He is the third player this season to have 30 points and 20 assists in a game. Trae Young did it. The Joker did it. And he joins the Joker and Wilt Chamberlain for having a 30 and a 20-15 line. But the Joker and Wilt had 30 points, 20 rebounds, and 15 assists, whereas Giannis had over 35 and had the 20 assists to go along with it with 17 rebounds. 20 dimes. 20 assists. And then he shoots over 60% again from the field. So just a fantastic night from Giannis, and just continues to etch his name in the all-time greats list. There's no question Giannis will go down as one of the all-time. He's already there, in my opinion. But if he continues to do this stuff, who knows how high he can go. But man, what a What a fantastic performance, and, you know, I don't know, I know it's a recency thing, but this has gotta be easily one of his most impressive overall performances on the court from both sides. I mean, what he did. I mean, that was the definition of like a point forward last night. And what he did was just it was remarkable, and I'm kind of at a loss for words what he's been able to do. It's just gosh, I hope you can appreciate this, Bucks fans or Wisconsin sports fans, because this doesn't happen so often. Doesn't happen. Right now, with just 6 games left to go in the regular season for the Bucks, they're sitting at 42-34. They are now above Detroit. They've got the same exact record as Detroit in the standings, but they hold a little bit of the tiebreaker. So they are in that 5th spot. They're 3 games back from Indiana if they want to try to catch them for the 4th seed. But right now, the Bucks are in that 5 where they, if the playoffs started today, they'd be on the road taking on the Pacers. So if you're doing a little bit of scoreboard watching here, the next up for the Bucks is going to be tomorrow night. They'll continue to be on the road here. They're going to be taking on the Heat, whereas Detroit will be in action tonight, and they're going to take on Toronto, and then they got to take on Memphis. This is a tough schedule coming up here for Detroit, so this is a chance for the Bucks to maybe really solidify themselves and get that 5th spot, so they avoid going on the road to New York. They'd have to go on the road to Indiana, but when you look at Detroit's upcoming schedule, they got at Toronto, home against Memphis, home against Sacramento, home against New York, home against Milwaukee, and then on the road against Milwaukee. So they're at home, but those are some tough opponents. Milwaukee, we know their schedule on the road against Miami, on the road against the Pelicans. They return home to face Minnesota, home against the Pelicans, at Detroit, home against Detroit. And if you're wondering about the Pacers, what does that kind of look like being 3 games back? Remember, the Bucks do have the tiebreaker, but they're going to need some help. And it starts with the Jazz tonight. Be a Jazz fan. Then they're at Denver. Then they're home against Washington, but then they finish up with Cleveland, Orlando, Cleveland. We'll see where Cleveland, what their plan's going to be with those final 2 games. If they got everything secured for that top spot, they may not push it too much. You know what I mean? They might want to rest some of their guys for a playoff run. And it's getting close for them to clinching that top spot. That top spot. Because Celtics are 5 games back right now from Cleveland. All right, let's take a quick break. And I want to do a quick Packer potential prospects here. Is going to hit up on a couple of players here. So we'll do a really quick break and be back after these few words. The spring sports season is here, and whether you're a high school or college athlete or a weekend warrior getting ready for some summer tournaments or maybe golf league, you shouldn't let pain hold you back from enjoying your favorite activities this season. That's why you should make your appointment today with Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Their team will help you get back on the field of play so that you can enjoy your favorite activities pain-free. So set up your appointment today by simply visiting cvosm.com. That's cvosm.com. We'll have to rain check our inside the training room with Dr. Crow, just schedule-wise. It won't work out, but hopefully we'll catch up with Dr. Crow coming up next week. So let's finish up this first hour. We got plenty more Brewer talk coming up throughout the program and get back to a little hoops talk as well. But I do want to finish up the first hour with continuing our Packer potential prospect series. Now that we are 3 weeks away from day 2 of the NFL draft, less than 3 weeks away from the first round. But we're going to take a look at a couple more defensive players, potential picks for the Packers, either for that first round pick or maybe early day 2. Let's start off with another corner, shall we? Big Ten fans, you've probably seen him, probably familiar with him a little bit. Taking a look at Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan. A little bit of a bigger corner, 6'2", about $195. All right, a little taller corner there. So what does Daniel Jeremiah, draft expert from NFL.com, have to say about Will Johnson? It says Johnson is a big cornerback with easy, fluid movement skills and excellent instincts. He played outside and in the slot at Michigan. And off coverage, he's very smooth and relaxed. He doesn't panic, settles on routes, and can find and play the ball. He had an impressive flat-footed read against USC that he turned into a pick six. Has the size, length to press and match up with bigger wideouts. The two issues that showed up in his 2024 game tape were inconsistency as a support player against the run and questions about his deep speed. He wasn't ultra aggressive to attack ball carriers, and he was run over multiple times. He can alleviate any concerns about his speed during athletic testing in the spring. Overall, Johnson isn't a perfect player, but I do love his blend of size and ball skills. So yeah, you definitely look at the physical traits. I mean, you got a taller corner at 6'2", about $195. He can play man coverage. He can play zone coverage. And given some of the size of the wide receivers that we see in this league, to have a guy who's 6'2" and close to 200 pounds over there, it'd be nice to have that bigger corner playing on the outside, right? Be nice to have that type of guy. So it's easy to see where he could fit within this Packers defense. The one issue that would probably make you a little bit nervous, and it comes up a lot, is his tackling. And especially trying to bring down maybe a bigger receiver or some ball carriers in the running game. So that would probably be something, whoever drafts him, if it's the Packers in this case, if the Packers decide to draft him, that would definitely be probably an area that they would want to improve and want to try to get him to be better at. Now, you can look at some clips. I was looking at some clips yesterday of him, and yes, there's going to be some where it looks like he's an effective tackler in the open field. But you look at the bigger sample size, and it's definitely an area that he could be more consistent at, something that he could be better at. And when you look at what he did this past year, he was a third-team AP All-American, honorable mention All Big Ten, tied for the team lead with a couple picks, set school records with 3 interceptions returned for touchdowns in his career. Started 6 games this year, but he missed the second half of the season with a foot injury. So does that come into play? It's like, oh, no, another corner that's coming in banged up, and then it's a foot injury. Is that a little bit of a concern too? So Didn't compete at the combine. I shouldn't say compete, but didn't participate in the combine drills and such. But man, when you talk about size and you talk about the length that he has, he's definitely intriguing. Would definitely be intriguing to nab with that first round pick if he's there for Green Bay. And just yes, he's got the experience playing inside, playing as a slot corner a little bit, but I'd put him on the outside and match him up with some of those bigger wideouts that we see in the NFL. And then there's another guy that I want to talk about, give you a little bit of a background, and probably not a very popular name, and it's probably because the college that he played at. And you don't really hear his name a whole lot, but he potentially could be somebody there in the back end of the first round or maybe early day 2 that the Packers would take a hard look at if they were looking to add more depth to their defensive line, more depth to their edge rusher. And that's Mike Green. He's an edge rusher from Marshall. He's listed as 6'3", about 250, between 250 255 pounds. Started off his career playing at Virginia, and then last year, second team AP All-American, Sun Belt Conference Defensive Player of the Year, first team All Sun Belt, finished a finalist for the Ted Hendricks Award, nation's top defensive end, led the FBS with 17 sacks, ranked second with 22 and a half tackles for loss, led the team with 3 forced fumbles, started all 13 games. He did Marshall opted out of the Independence Bowl this past year. But you look at, 2023, he also played in all 13 games, made 1 start, 43 tackles. 9 of those were tackles for loss, had 4.5 sacks on there too. But you look at the production, you look at the results, and it's like, okay, yeah, that production's there. You want a guy that racks up the sack numbers in the TFLs, the tackles for losses. He's there. What does Daniel Jeremiah have to say about him? Green was an ultra explosive and productive edge rusher for the Thundering Herd. He jumped on the radar with an outstanding performance against Ohio State in September and continued to dominate through the entire campaign. He's continued to add weight over the last year and checked in over at 250 pounds at the Senior Bowl. In the past game, he has an excellent get off and he can convert speed to power. He has quick hands and wins with a dip/rip on the edge. He has enjoyed success with spin moves, but he gets a little too reliant on them at times. I love his effort to keep working and refuse to stay blocked. In the run game, he knocks back tight ends at the point of attack, and he can pop separate to free himself for tackles. He is very disruptive on stunts and games. Overall, Green is a very gifted pass rusher and more than holds his own against the run. Sounds like a lot of positives, right? A lot of positives when it comes to Mike Green. The one thing that may jump out is his size. Is he big enough to play defensive ends in a 4-3? Can he do that? That's and as Jeremiah says, he continues to add weight. I feel like Green Bay probably would want him to add a little bit more because Rashawn Gary is about 270, 275. Same for Van Ness. So they may want him to be just a little bit more. But you look at the production that he brings to the table, the production that he had at the college game last year, you can't argue with the numbers. And you look at some of his next-gen stats. Number 1 in defensive end/edge for athleticism score, ranked number 1. Ranked 3rd in total scores for the 2025 Combine defensive end edge rankings, 3rd. So the production is there. He brings a high energy. He brings a high motor. He's got a few different pass rushing moves. But the biggest thing is going to be his size. Can he fit as a 4-3 defensive end? I read one report, too, that he plays so hard. That he may run out of gas at times. But I don't know if Green Bay continues to do, their rotation where guys like their defensive ends and their defensive linemen are only playing like 60% of the snaps. Is that much of a concern? I don't think it's that much of a concern if he like plays so hard that he just kind of like runs out of gas a little bit. If they continue to do rotation and such, I guess I don't view that as a big time concern. Now, if they decide to like, okay, we want to keep these guys out 90, 100% of the time, okay, yeah, sure. But you can't argue with the production that he put out there. And there's going to be, well, look at the college he played at. Marshall, quality of competition. Sun Belt Conference isn't necessarily the Big Ten or the SEC. You're going to have some of that too. Yeah, that's going to be a talking point. But if Green Bay is serious about bringing in more edge rushing help, defensive end help, this is a guy that produced at a high level last year at the college game. All right, we'll continue some more potential prospects coming up next week as we inch closer and closer to the first round of the draft, officially under 3 weeks from day one and such. So we'll try to continue and may start to kind of creep into those early day 2 picks. I know we focus a lot on some guys who are potentially the back end of the first round in that, but we may start to creep into that early day 2 option there. And it seems I just saw too that the Packers did host Matthew Golden on a pre-draft visit. So they brought in a potential wide receiver, first round wide receiver on a draft visit. Again, does that mean that, that's their target? Remember, teams get 30 of them, okay? Doing their due diligence here. I'd be disappointed if they didn't bring in like a Matthew Golden or some of these guys. And I know like a lot of the times too, these pre-draft visits, Ted Thompson and Goody to a sense does it too. They do that a lot with some of their undrafted guys to get a better sense and better feel of them too. All right, we'll finish up with Morgs. Good morning.
Kasper, looks nice on you.
Yeah,
got the Uke shirt on today.
I do. Thank you.
You guys got big Friday plans?
No.
What's the weekend hold for you this time of year when there's not like anything real big going on?
Well, I'm already trying to fill out my Saturdays. They're filling up right now. So,
what do you got?
Well, we got baseball starting up. I got turkey hunting coming up.
How excited are you to get to Green Bay for the draft?
Excited but nervous.
What makes you nervous about it? The fact that they're trying to cram all those people into Green Bay?
Parking.
That isn't made for it? Yeah, you should probably get parking now.
No.
Do you know anybody else that's going down there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know quite a few people going over there.
So. Are you doing a big caravan?
I wouldn't say big.
But
just maybe a couple.
Okay.
A couple of vehicles.
What's your big takeaway? What's your goal? Like if this happens at the draft, you'll come away a happy guy.
Everything goes off without a hitch for the show and that. That's what's giving me anxiety.
So just avoiding any disasters is the goal for the draft?
I really hope that they put up like extra boosters for internet signals and stuff.
So something doesn't crash in the systems. Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly.
What do you think of Rodgers going to the Steelers?
I think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think the NFL want because Green Bay plays Pittsburgh this year.
Right.
And the rumor is for the longest time it was supposed to be that's the game in Ireland.
Okay.
But would the NFL necessarily want that game in Ireland now?
They probably want to bring it back for the rivalry and the potential
and
drama.
A primetime game.
Yeah, and the ratings of it all.
Yeah. Because if it's in Ireland, it's going to be the Sunday morning at 8:30.
Do you know any legit Steelers fans in your life? I know one.
I feel like I should, but they're not popping off the top of my head.
Okay. Because I was wondering what the climate was, finger on the pulse of Pittsburgh is right now.
I know Vikings fans didn't want him, a majority.
Well, I think a lot of people are kind of doing the whole like thumb to the forehead, not it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a bet he made himself, frankly. Yep. I mean, that if you can go to put yourself in that position to the point where people are like, not it.
Mm-hmm.
You can hand him your problem.
Yeah. It's the whole drama thing, too. Just sign on a dotted line. If you really want to play, sign on it. Don't be having throwing
Karen,
sessions.
not Aaron. I know. It's too much, and it exhausts. And I think that's an overarching theme with more sports. Like, if you look back at old footage, Ice Bowl, for example, is iconic, but anything even older than that, it
Mhm.
wasn't all of the theatrics and it wasn't all of the showboating.
Yep.
And to me, that was a better era. That's football. Let's do that again. Let's
Mhm.
make it more about the game and the grit and not about the end zone dances and the showing and the ratings and all of
Mhm.
that kind of stuff too. It
Exactly.
just gets boring
Yep.
fast. It's like,
Yeah.
get over yourself.
So just and I know I said it a few times, but it stinks because I mean, he is one of the greats that played for Green Bay. But
Which is a great point, except then why would you do this to yourself? Which
right.
I feel is like what he did. Somebody
Exactly.
gave him a shovel and he's just not stopping digging.
Mhm.
It's just over the shoulder, one more pile after the other, and he's
I
doing it to
agree.
himself.
I agree. All
Yeah.
right. Thanks, Mark. Have a good weekend.
Right back at you.
News updates. We'll be back with hour 2. Second hour kicking off right now on this Friday morning of April 4th. I got a sneeze coming, Brandon. It's one of those. Now it's going to go away because I'm talking about it probably. So, but a happy. There we go. All right. Got her out of the way. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy hour 2. That's Brandon Berg over there. No inside the training room this morning with Dr. Crow. So just schedule wise, we'll rain check it and catch up with our good doc, Austin, hopefully next week. So we've got early version of Brandon here this morning, decked out in his Brewers way. Look at we matched kind of.
Kind of.
Got my Euchre
I'm jealous of
shirt.
your shirt, but
Yeah, Morgs picked it up for me. She was at the home opener. So looks good, I think.
It does.
I like it. So we're a little over a week into opening day and such, Brandon, or from opening day, excuse me. So let's talk a little Brewers to kick off the second hour. More Brewers, because we talked a little bit about it in the first hour, but let's talk some more Brewers as we kick it off. So it's kind of been an awful start against the Yankees, where it was all torpedo bats, but maybe now it was more just the Brewers pitching at that point. But we saw it kind of started with Chad Patrick's performance and settled everything down, because in these last 3 games, as Lou Brown says, you win 3, that's called a winning streak. And officially the Brewers are on a winning streak right now.
And it has happened before.
And it has happened before. So 3 in a row. And I think it's kind of gone just how it started with Chad Patrick and the pitching staff just kind of settling down a little bit. Freddie Peralta had that magnificent performance, and then Nestor Cortez last night with a really, really good performance too. So I guess looking at everything, and now I'm kind of getting nervous too, because we don't know who's pitching today, or we don't know who's pitching for the next couple days, and that's the nerve-wracking part of this whole thing.
Right. I mean, April is just kind of a you hold on. I mean, that was kind of even just going back to the start of the season last week. It was like, okay, well, the vibe seemed to be okay if they can just find a way to kind of get through April. Kind of piecemealing this pitching staff, knowing that there's several guys who are not far away from being back, your Tobias Myers, Jose Quintanas, etc., that you'd feel a little, you'd feel pretty good. Well, then they didn't even make it to the start of April before, obviously the sky was falling for some people. But I mean, those first 4 games were pretty much the Murphy's Law of going about as bad as it could.
Yeah.
I mean, you had the opener where they kind of had, the tease late of maybe the comeback, and then those next 3 games, which they just got pounded.
Right.
Like there's no way around it. They just, the last 2 games against the Yankees and that first game against the Royals, they just got beat. But then, kind of getting back on track and doing, I mean, these last 3 games, I think have looked very more Brewers-like in the, the pitching has been, on point. You mentioned Chad Patrick, just kind of across the board. They've done a good job of not having those big time innings, and then, offensively being able to do enough.
Yeah. Offensively, I mean, Sal Frelick has been off to a nice start, right? I mean, obviously not a ton of power there, but timely hits for Sal Frelick and that. But, when you look at the offense overall, obviously opening day with Jackson Chourio striking out 5 times, but it seems like he's bounced back nicely after that. Yelly's a little bit slow. He's got the 1 home run in that, but haven't seen a ton of power yet from this Brewers team.
Not yet. It's been more kind of station to station and, situational, but, that'll come in time. I mean, we've seen, guys like Contreras and Yelich, or even though Yelich coming off the back surgery, kind of more in the way of known commodities that you feel confident at some point it's going to pick up. But yeah, right now it's kind of, hold on. And, as Pat Murphy like say, you find a way, you win tonight, and then you kind of worry about tomorrow. And then when tomorrow comes, you find a way to win tonight again. So, but yeah, just doing just enough offensively, and, that's kind of, what it takes right now. You've got a couple of different guys that are in situations where they're getting the chance, but, they're not going to get the, they're going to have to prove it. Obviously the third base platoon of Vinny Capra and Oliver Dunn. I mean, the Brewers have seen so many left-handed starters right now that Oliver Dunn hasn't really been out there that much, but
right.
These are guys you're going to get the shot. And, if we get a month into the year and the production's not there, I mean, they may look to do something else, but for now, those players are getting an opportunity.
What you mentioned, the left-hand pitching is something I was going to bring up. Because last year that was a topic of discussion. Can the Brewers hit left-handed pitching?
I feel like that's been a topic of a discussion for us for a while.
Yeah,
and rightfully so. I mean, the numbers bear out that this team just is not as good against left-handed pitching as they are against righties.
Right, and so that's what I was going to ask you. Is this going to be another topic this year? Because last year at one point, then towards the end, it was like, okay, maybe they're starting to turn it, but now you look at it, it sure seems like teams. I mean, we've only had a couple of them, but it just, I don't know if it just happens to
I
work
think it
out.
was just how it was. But I think the rest of the series, the Reds are set up to throw righties the next 3 games, so that won't be as much of an issue. But yeah, the Brewers just don't right now have a lot of players that are like part-time players that excel in hitting lefties. Like William Contreras over the course of his career has great numbers against lefties, but he's going to play every day regardless. So they don't have those. I'm trying to think of some good examples of guys like, I mean, not even necessarily Milwaukee, but I think of a guy like Steve Pearce, who played about a decade ago, and he made a long career out of, well, what does he do? He can play a couple different spots, but he hits lefties really well.
Mhm.
Like late in his career, that was what Jeff Cirillo did when he came back to Milwaukee. Like he played third, he played first and third base, but he was out there every time there was a lefty out there because he hit left-handed pitching really well. And they just don't have, some of the part-timers that do that, at least, have a track record of doing that. So they're just kind of, in that spot right now where, yes, they have, they'll throw Vinny Capra out there against lefties because he's a right-handed pitcher, but, it's not necessarily that Vinny Capra over the course of his minor league career has just destroyed left-handed pitching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and, that's just kind of the situation they're in at this point, just trying to figure out how to make that work. And, I also think that, the thing that kind of hurts them a little bit too is like Eric Haas, I think in his career has some decent numbers against lefties, but managers are usually a little bit leery about putting both your catcher and then maybe having your other catcher at DH because if something happens and you have to bring in your second catcher, you're going to have to punt the DH, and teams don't want to do that. So as much as that could be a potential option, like it's not as easy as it might look just because, teams like to have that, backup plan.
Right. I want to go back to Freddie in his last starts where he went 8 innings and a couple things. One, it was a different version of Freddie because after opening day, we kind of talked about, was that a typical Freddie start where high in the count, racked up the pitch count. And this one, he did a fantastic job with the pitch count. But now it's 2 games in a row. He hasn't issued a single walk either. I mean, he's been attacking the zone, it seems like.
Right. And I don't think it's hyperbole to say that, Freddie Peralta's start on Wednesday was one of the best starts he's had in his career. I mean, even the numbers kind of bear that out, but 8 innings, like just
under 100 pitches.
Under 100 pitches, just the one, run allowed. Like that was the version of Freddie Peralta that I think all Brewers fans, when you get frustrated with him sometimes because he has a tendency to nibble, like I think that's why people get frustrated because they know it's in there. If someone's just not, very good, then you just kind of, okay, you kind of move on. But we've seen the high level out of Freddie Peralta where he's capable of being a legitimate ace. The consistency hasn't always been there, but that, there's encouraging things. You've seen kind of his repertoire grow from when he first came up to the majors. It was just fastball, curveball. To the point now we're throwing 5 different pitches. He's adding to his game, and early on he's found success with it. And really, the interesting thing too is like there was a period of time where he, obviously he's always thrown plenty of fastballs, but like the slider was a big part of the game, and that hasn't necessarily been as much of it the first few starts. The first start was the changeup, and he's just kind of worked other things in there, and that's been very encouraging to see. And that start was key, not just because he went 8 innings, but the timing of it. When that bullpen is just so gassed. I mean, the combination of that start and then coming back with what Nestor Cortes did last night. I mean, those were needed in just the absolute biggest situations, because last night, obviously, with a couple guys being down, I mean, Pat Murphy really not wanting to go to Trevor McGill or Jared Koenig.
Right.
That's why you kind of saw a different order out of the bullpen, and ultimately you all Payamps not locking down the save.
Thanks to a Cheerios sweet catch though too.
Right back, yeah. I mean, back to back, and just like the first one. I mean, that's back to back games for him where he's made an important catch defensively.
It just seemed, and I know Murphy talked about it in spring training, but do you see, Jackson Cheerio, the improvement on the defensive side from in the outfield? I know we focus so much on what he's going to do offensively, but now we're seeing this jump and improvement defensively too.
And I think it's just comfort. I mean, playing more, just getting, just kind of getting down his instincts and stuff of just like the first jump and stuff like that. Like
where he doesn't have to start so far back like he did last year.
I mean, as Brewers fans, we've been kind of, blessed in that, even right now, like Sal Frelick is obviously a Gold Glover. Garrett Mitchell's a good defender. Blake Perkins, when he gets back, he's a very good defensive outfielder as well. Like so many times those guys make things look easy, where they just kind of they're able to glide and they go and make a catch. With Churio early on, like it hasn't looked as clean and simple with him, but now you're starting to see that he's converting those. And I mean, that just adds to, the defense of that outfield. I mean, obviously this team prioritizes defense, and when they can throw out a defensive alignment of, and right now, obviously it's some combo of, if you got Mitchell, Frelick, and Churio out there, but even then once, Blake Perkins gets back, like that's a defense.
You're covering a lot of ground.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some of those catches too from Churio, I'm thinking back to last year where there was times I think we all said dive, or something where he just kind of pulled up and
right.
such.
I'm sure that at that point maybe he just wasn't comfortable and wasn't just fully, it wasn't fully like kind of registering what he was seeing. Like you kind of need to be able to do it before you realize, okay, I can dive here and make it, or I can't dive here, because I mean, last thing you want to do is dive and then miss and the ball gets by you.
And it's probably because, first year, I don't want to make a mistake, don't want to screw it up, sort of thing.
And I mean, trying to gauge those balls when you're in a major league stadium versus a minor league stadium is different. Like just the background, everything, the backdrop, everything with it is different. I mean, you've got 3 or 4 decks of seats versus a couple. If that, and it's just different things you got to get used to.
What's I mean, it's a little bit old, but this is the first time I get to ask you about it. But what are your impressions or your thoughts on the whole torpedo bat thing? That, I mean, I think, would you say it's kind of calmed down a little bit? That's not the bats. It was maybe
right.
More
it
so
was
the
just
Brewers
kind of it was just kind of a
pitching
Murphy's Law series, I think, for the Brewers, where but my feeling in general is just like, I don't have a problem with it. I'm just surprised it took this long for somebody to try something.
I know, that's like to me that was a big thing. I'm like, how did it take so long for this to kind of really pop up? And the other part is too, like a lot of people point out Aaron Judge, but Aaron Judge is a beast already.
Aaron Judge could hit home runs with pool noodles.
But and that's if it's legal, which they said it's approved. Like, I agree with what Reese Hoskins said shortly after. He's like, I'm going to order some and try it.
Right. And I think it was Pat Murphy that says it's not the wand, it's the magician.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he said something else before that too, his old whatever.
But yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, obviously the idea of it is, to get more of the harder wood at the part where people tend to make contact, which,
because initially it was supposed to be for like people who were getting jammed up a little bit, right?
So you moved it down, if I remember correctly, more towards the handle a little bit.
Yep.
But then but then you're also going to probably see times where someone hits the ball on where they think the sweet spot usually isn't a bat, and it doesn't go. That's just it's just going to be, I think, a period of kind of readjusting for not just for hitters but also for pitchers,
right?
And scouting reports and stuff like that. If you know that hey, this guy you can't jam him as much. Okay, well, maybe then you're pitching him a little bit away.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So if it's legal and it continues to be legal, I mean, I think it has calmed down a little bit.
Right. And I mean, again, I think that was just such a Murphy's Law weekend for the Brewers, no pun intended, I guess, there. But where, I mean, you go back to that Nestor Cortez start, like, and you compare the two, it's like, the cutter last night was how you want it, where it's starting off the plate and hitting the corners, or it's starting in the middle of the plate and hitting the inside, versus there it was starting off and going middle. Like, you look at those pitches that the Yankees were hitting out, there weren't very many. I mean, obviously there's 1 or 2 out of the many that they hit where, it's a home run only in Yankee Stadium. But you just look at the pure pitch location and they weren't good pitches. Right. It's not like you made a good pitch and they just, gotcha. It was a bad weekend to have a bad weekend.
Yeah, and
if it happens in June, it's people are probably freaking out about it as much as they were, but that's when it's the start of the year, and you're always going to get more attention on it.
You mentioned Cortez. It felt like yesterday he just seemed more confident up there too.
Right.
I'm sure there was something going up against his former team.
I'm sure he was a little bit extra amped up, and again, his former team, they know him,
right?
So, but yeah, being able to go home, pitch now at his home ballpark, and just coming out and getting that first scoreless inning, like, and maybe for him it was even just getting through that first scoreless batter, but
right,
just that's why he was in the trade to come here to Milwaukee, because he can be that guy,
right?
He can be a guy that goes out there and delivers and pitches deep into games, and he's not going to overpower you. I mean, that's not his game, but he relies on movement and just kind of doing whatever he can to disrupt timing. And last night was a very good example of what it looks like when it's firing on all cylinders for him.
So I mean, we're starting to get some guys. I mean, good news. Brandon Woodruff continues to have really good news. I would probably still. I mean, possibly next week he can be making a rehab start.
And there'll still be several rehab starts in there, so it's not like one rehab start and he's back. So it'll still be a little bit yet.
But Nick Mears is getting close to. I mean, I know it's a bullpen one, but that has a trickle down effect with everything, right? And then Tobias Myers probably still in a couple weeks here. So
Jose Quintana's, that could be sooner, just because that wasn't an injury. It's just that he agreed to go down to the minors so he could pitch in the minors to continue his ramp up, because he's such a vested veteran. Right. You have to agree to do that.
And I think they said eligible April 11th, which is next Friday, and that begins the Diamondback series. So if he's already in Arizona, maybe that kind of works out.
Right. Yeah. It's you can kind of see the pieces kind of starting to form of how this could work. It's just a matter of, getting there.
And then I'm sure you saw this too, but Mark Atanasio at Carroll College, was it? He was talking,
so.
And it's always kind of been the running joke, and he kind of, I don't know if he knows this, but he said, yeah, I was talking to Scott Boras, and what the running joke is, like, whenever Scott Boras needs a client or a client signed, he calls Mark.
This is a big thing about a decade ago when, I think it was Mark Matt Garza was a big one where
Suppan wasn't there. Was Suppan a client?
I forget if Suppan was, but going back a little further. But there's been several examples of kind of that connection leading to maybe the Brewers bringing in a Boras client. And Scott Boras is, he's the most powerful agent in baseball, so it's not like he's just some run-of-the-mill schmuck who's got two guys and they both happen to sign with the Brewers. But still, it's a funny connection.
Right. So didn't say the name, but there's a lot of speculation. Could it be Spencer Turnbull? And what would be your thoughts on that?
Spencer Turnbull is he's a guy that can eat innings for you. He's a guy that has experience being a swing guy. Maybe think of Joe Ross last year.
Okay.
Where, he can pitch a couple innings out of the inning, but if you need you need a guy that can jump up from the bullpen to the rotation to make a couple starts because somebody's got a minimum stay on the D or in the IL, he can do it. So, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Once they get a little healthy, assuming there's no other injuries elsewhere, which is possible, it could, maybe it's not as much of a need, but I'm not gonna bemoan the Brewers for looking for ways to make the team better, especially spending a little bit of money to do it.
Right.
Because at this point, I don't think that's going to be a big time contract of any kind. But he's a guy that could maybe fill that Joe Ross role from last year, where he kind of hops between the rotation and the bullpen as needed, if he signed.
Right. Are you a little nervous though for what's the next 3 days are going to look like with the pitching staff? How it's going to play out?
Obviously they're just trying to get to that off day, and not only that, at some point the Reds they're gonna hit.
Yeah.
You just hope that it's after this series. You want to you kind of it's like you're just kind of walking on thin ground, and you're just okay, you're walking on thin ice. You're just okay, you're trying to step lightly and be okay, let's get through this, kind of get through this. But yeah, you're right. The next few days, you've got to kind of piecemeal your way through it. Sounds like it might be Carlos Rodriguez tonight. He was in Milwaukee last night, made his first start of the year at AAA. He pitched some with the Brewers last year, so we'll see there. But yeah, you're just trying to figure it out. But I will say, Chad Patrick, he earned the right to make another start.
I did see so David Gasper did say Pat Murphy did not announce who tomorrow's, which would be today's starting pitcher will be, but he said it will not be Carlos Rodriguez.
Okay, so maybe then Rodriguez might be for Saturday.
Yeah,
because I think I'd seen the report that Tyler Alexander threw a bullpen earlier this week, so maybe it's him. And he's a guy that's similar to that in that Spencer Turnbull mold, where he's got experience starting, and maybe that's the route they go. Maybe it's Alexander today, Rodriguez Saturday, and then Patrick Sunday.
Yeah, I guess Pat Murphy, when asked if it was Rodriguez, he said no for today.
So right now that would kind of maybe be my guess is. And you're just trying to, and Alexander a lefty, so obviously,
And for anybody who's well, little gamesmanship
It
here.
is, yeah.
I mean, and Terry Francona's been around the block a few times.
Yeah, I'm sure
so
I'm sure this isn't throwing them for a loop.
Right, but
Yeah.
we see it in any sport.
Yep.
At this point.
Yeah.
So,
How many times in football is that? Well, who's going to be your starter? Well, we don't know yet.
Yeah.
Even though teams darn well know.
Exactly, and I'm pretty sure Pat Murphy already knows too.
Right, and more importantly, I'm sure those players know.
Exactly,
because you have there's so much of a routine that's built around being ready to go and knowing you're going on a certain day.
Yep, definitely. All right, let's take a quick break here, but we'll have some more baseball talks throughout the morning. Let's talk some hoops. We got Final Fours. We've got Giannis doing amazing things. We'll talk some hoops coming up next. Summer is right around the corner, and what better way to get ready for summer than visiting Home Oasis for their Customer Appreciation Days? On Friday, April 11th and Saturday, April 12th, you can come check out the new Sundance spas on the floors, and they'll even have the Green Mountain Grills going with some grilled food and even trying some grilled cookies. Plus, it'll be the perfect time to stock up for the summer as they will have deals going on as well. So mark it on your calendars to visit Home Oasis in Chippewa Falls for their Customer Appreciation Days, April 11th and April 12th. And a big thanks to Home Oasis as They're one of our draft partners, helping us go to the draft in a couple weeks here. So a big thanks to Home Oasis for joining us, and they're also joining our other partner, AJM Automotive. Well, you know you don't want to get into this situation, but what happens when your car does break down and you need a tow? Who do you call? You call AJM Automotive. Not only is AJM Automotive your go-to place when it comes to auto repairs, they also offer towing services too, and they offer a discounted towing rate for vehicles brought to their location. So if you get into that situation where you need to be towed and you need to have your vehicle fixed right up, AJM Automotive in Eau Claire has got you covered. Just give them a call at 715-835-9523. So again, big thanks to AJM Automotive and Home Oasis, our draft partners for this season. So helping us get on over there and do some shows.
Yeah.
See where DPs, are you going to try to hit that up, meet and greet the Wednesday nights before? Did you hear about that too?
I did not see or hear about that part.
Yeah. So like Wednesday night, they're doing something at the bar.
It's funny that you're asking me, like, am I just going to go by myself or what?
Yeah. You got to hitchhike it.
I was going to say, yeah, you're kind of my ride. So.
Oh, it's going to cost you, man.
All right.
Yeah, going to cost you. So.
I think there's a bike trail. Maybe I can ride.
Yeah. Bring a tent. So you might have to camp somewhere, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm nervous.
A little less than 3 weeks.
Yeah. 3 weeks from today will be day 2, the Friday one.
Ooh.
Which is my favorite, is day 2 of the draft itself.
Yes.
Yes. But yeah, that's going to be the interesting one. But you don't have a day 2 pick, do you?
Third rounder.
Oh, you got a third rounder?
The compensatory pick for Kirk Cousins.
Ooh. But
we'll see.
You may be accumulating some
picks. Might be. The Vikings may pick early on day 2 because they didn't pick on day 1. We'll see.
Yep. So you're just going to let it all out on Thursday.
I might.
You don't have any stress or nothing to worry about.
I might just hang out and watch the clouds roll in.
Mm-hmm. So we got, by the way, since we're talking about the draft, it's the showcase day for Colorado and Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. I love it. It's typical Dion fashion. Showcase day, not pro day. No, showcase day. So, but you starting to kind of do some of those mock drafts online. A little bit there.
A little bit.
Is it different for you though because your Vikings don't have?
I can go through them pretty quick.
Yeah. So it's a little bit different in that essence.
Yeah.
So I get her. But so yeah, we'll talk some more draft when we get a little bit closer to such and that. But basketball wise, a few things I want to hit up. First of all, what else can we say about Giannis? I know I keep saying that, I feel like, but then he always finds something that like, oh, he first to do that or etches his name in history again. And then 35, 20 assists and 17 rebounds for the Greek Freak last night. First to ever have a line like that. He's the third to join the Joker and Wilt to have a 30, 20, 15 line, but those two had 20 rebounds. Giannis had to be a little different and do 20 assists.
He was sharing.
I mean, I don't care if you're not an NBA fan or you're not the biggest Bucks fan, but you're a Wisconsin sports fan, get on this and start not taking this for granted. What we're seeing from Giannis, from the Greek Freak. I mean, this is some special. And I would, you talked about Freddie Peralta the other, having one of his best starts. Giannis had a lot of great games. Statistically, this might be one of his best ones.
Yes.
But even this season overall, when you look at it, and not just the numbers, but his game overall, for the longest time, everybody said, well, if he could develop a jumper, if he could do this, he has developed a jumper this year that I think has gone unnoticed. Even, if it's a mid-range pull-up or a little turnaround, he has developed that this year. And I still feel like he's not getting talked about enough from a national sense. Joker, obviously, and Gilgeous Alexander, but what Giannis is doing this year is pretty dang fantastic.
It is. And at some point, like, unless you're that elite, like, unless you're someone like LeBron, like, you almost have like media fatigue with certain people that are really good, where they'll talk about you for a while, and then you just, again, I think you said it well, you kind of take it for granted. That, he's just, Giannis is just going to, he has a certain level he's established every year of what he's going to do. So then you just come to expect it. And then when he does a little bit more, it's like, you should probably be getting a little bit more attention, but there's other things going on. And, obviously right now the Bucks are not viewed as a contender.
Which is disappointing because it's we're having this great season with Giannis.
Yeah, like here's the thing: like if they didn't have Giannis, where would they be?
Yeah, to me, which is part of a definition of an MVP,
right?
And you could say that for a lot of players, and that's
can.
why it's it can be a little hard, but it sounds like positive news with Damian. Doc Rivers yesterday said, they feel a lot better than what they were 3 days ago. I mean, it's trending in this direction that maybe we're going to see him in the postseason. And remember, next week, Bobby Portis is eligible to come back too.
Yeah.
So
he'll get a few games in there, hopefully, to kind of,
knock
the rust off.
And they moved up to the 5th spot with that win last night. They're tied with the Pistons, but they hold the tiebreakers of now, and they play the Pistons in the final 2 games of the year. 5th spot is the difference from potentially going on the road to face the Pacers, or 6 would be going on the road to face the Knicks, unless the Bucks could catch the Pacers, because they do hold that tiebreaker
right
at this point. And Pacers play the Cavs twice, but who knows? It's the Cavs by that time might be resting guys, so it'd be a little bit different. But there's a little scoreboard watching to be paying attention to here. But I mean, obviously, this Bucks team would be a whole lot different if Dame does come back for the postseason, and of course, if Bobby Portis is when he does come back, it'll be different. But is it enough to make a run?
That's the thing. We don't know. Like, we don't know how much are we going to be able to take away out of those last few games, because again, we don't know how much they're going to count. So, but I mean, it is good just to get positive news, because last few weeks haven't been roundly positive for not necessarily Giannis, but for the Bucks.
Right. And Pacers, even if I don't know who you'd rather play, Knicks or Pacers, I'd probably still want to play the Pacers. Still make me nervous. I wouldn't feel uber confident about it.
You're not saying, I want them to play this team because they're just going to run them out of the building. No, either way, that's a darn tough matchup.
And that's honestly a series that I could see easily going 7, because I still believe those are the 2 teams that, when you look at their home and away records, they're the only 2 in the top 6 that have losing records on the road. And it's like, well, that's just a recipe of a 7-game series.
Right. That's one where like the home team wins like 6 of the 7, and whichever road team wins a game away from home, that might be the difference.
Exactly. So, fingers crossed that Dame, if he does happen to come back, I mean, that's a huge boost. But again, we got to tip our cap to what Giannis is doing right now, because he is. I don't know what the next few years are going to look like, whether he will be a Buck full time in that, but he is. Gosh. Don't take it for granted.
Right.
Don't take it. I don't care if you're not a big basketball fan or Bucks fan or NBA fan. It's remarkable what he's doing.
The thing too about Giannis is like his game is very old school.
Yeah.
When you factor it in, like he's not someone that's, very dependent on the 3-point shot. Like he's a guy that does put his head down and goes to the basket. And, will use his strength to, do what he has.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. So, and he's cut down on his attempts to try to be a 3-point shooter. And that dude was 10 of 11 from the charity stripe last night too. So how about that? But gosh, 35 or more and 20 assists. I mean, that's Scott Skiles numbers there. Nice.
Right. Well, with the scoring in there too.
Yeah, definitely.
Did he slap the floor Scott Skiles style?
That would be awesome if he did, but
he might put a hole in the floor.
He's a
big man.
Yeah. Staying with basketball here, but a quick note, a couple of Badger notes. First off, John Blackwell declaring for the NBA draft. However, he is also maintaining his college eligibility, which, yes, it's just like AJ Storr last year. But the difference is Blackwell says if he does come back, it will be for Wisconsin.
Right.
Which, again, this is a way now for these players to get some feedback from NBA scouts. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to stay in the draft. They can go through the process, get that feedback where these scouts will say, okay, this is where the area you need to focus on or get better at. And they come back to college and maybe that's what they do. Or if they find out, hey, you're going to be maybe a late second or not drafted at all. All right, got that feedback. I'm going to go back and try to get better for college. So like, Greg Gard came out with a statement, and Blackwell. I don't have a problem with this.
No,
I don't have. I hope he's back, because selfishly, I hope he's back. But I don't have a problem with this because he has that ability to come. Put yourself in a situation like that for anything where you could get some feedback of like, I either have a chance to go pro
go to the big time.
Yep. Or I'm going to get some free feedback, like how to get better from the experts. He'd be stupid not to at that point from an individual standpoint.
And I said the big thing is he said, hey, if I ultimately end up coming back to college, it's going to be to Wisconsin.
Right. And that's the difference from AJ Storr last year, where, he said, I'm going to go through the draft, but remain my college. And it felt like, okay, it's not going to be Wisconsin that he's coming back to. And now he's in the transfer portal again.
He's going to go 8 for 8.
Yeah. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
It is. Like, obviously, and I've kind of said my feeling that, like, I feel like, the kind of the transfer portal and NL stuff, like, it'll look a lot different in like 5 years, not 5 minutes, but
yeah.
But to me, that should not be the intention. Like, I understand wanting to, like, there being some freedom for kids, like, as certain things arise and stuff like that. Okay, that's fine. But, like, the idea to just hop to a different place every year, like, to me, that's not the intention of what it should be.
Right. And then yesterday, also because it's transfer portal, the Badgers got, somebody's coming home, from played at Virginia last year. Actually started off at St. Thomas.
Yes.
A little bit. But was it Andrew?
Andrew Road.
Andrew Road.
Andrew
Road.
I forget if it's Road or Roadie, but I remember when I'd seen him, like, that name sounds familiar. But then, he went to high school at Brookfield Central, I believe it was.
Yeah. So first off, went to St. Thomas, then he went to Virginia. Obviously, probably a Tony Bennett connection with the Wisconsin, but he's going to Wisconsin now, coming through the transfer portal, and he had a solid year last year, just a little under 10 points per game at Virginia. And Virginia, I think, you look at it with what happened, Tony Bennett
stepping down at the beginning of the year, like, that just was not a good year for him.
Right, exactly. So I think this is a solid pickup. I mean, he's a taller guard too, 6'4".
6'6", I think 6'5", whatever it is. But, like, he's got some length to him. He said he's like a 40% shooter from 3. Like, he can, I think, a lefty. So you get another lefty look in there, which, I don't know, the aesthetic of a lefty bombing from 3 to me has always been a beautiful one when you see that. But
6'6", you are right.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, a guy, but just, a team. This is a team that, depending on based on what we know right now, and obviously we know that can always change, but, like, it looks like a team that's going to have some length next year.
Yeah. And this is a guy with starting experience, and I know the ACC was down, but still, that's big time conference, college basketball play that he's got experience coming in. So,
So no, it's a good get.
I think it's a really good get for Wisconsin. I'm definitely intrigued, and it's good to see, coming back to the state, coming back to Wisconsin. So, but you're right. And if Blackwell does come back next year, they definitely do have some length. It's a little disappointing with the Daniel Freitag stuff. I feel like there's more to this, Brandon, because in the tournament, I mean, he kept talking like, yeah, if they want me, I'm here. But then it seems like they didn't call him after the season or talk to him, and he kind of took offense to it, or like got ghosted or something, and that's why he's leaving. So I feel like there's more to this.
Right.
But it's definitely a weird 180 where, last year we were like, okay, let's hold on to this guy. He might have to play right away. And then we didn't get to see him a whole lot, but he kept saying, no, I'm here, and then gone.
Right.
Maybe it's money.
Maybe, but also, I mean, also, you take him at his word, like, it's possible. Like, maybe, he just, because he didn't play a lot, so maybe there just wasn't the improvement there, and maybe the team just kind of felt like, okay, you might not play next year either. I mean, we don't know.
Right.
Like, we've gotten one end of it, and we're probably not going to really get the other end of it, because a team's not going to come out and usually say that, say like, well, we let it, we weren't interested, or no, that's a bold-faced lie, which, chances are the truth lies somewhere in the middle. It's not, I don't think it's either or.
Right.
But, that's just kind of, kind of the state of the game right now, where it's just like, it's gonna be a little bit like, it's gonna be a little bit tougher to get excited about, like, just recruiting in general, which I tend to kind of take with a grain of salt anyway, because of how much things can move. But I mean, look at the last few years between Freitag and then earlier Gus Yeldon.
Yeah.
2 guys who were high profile recruits that were like, hey, these guys are coming to Wisconsin, and obviously one lasts a little bit longer than the other, but both guys are already going to be gone.
Yeah. It the way you kind of said that too, like, are we gonna is the mindset gonna change where maybe we shouldn't focus on recruiting so much more and like the recruiting ranks and the classes and all that. It's transfer portal now.
Maybe.
Like who's got the best transfer portal ranking
Class,
and
yeah,
such
yeah.
or class? Is that where I mean, because
Maybe.
you got guys who okay, they're committed, but if they don't play, then they're gone. So why should we get all hyped up about recruiting classes anymore?
Right. Because either you're playing right away, and if you play right away, yeah, you might stay, but also you might play right away and then opt to go somewhere else.
Yeah, because you might surprise like, oh, I could cash
It's
in
gonna be
elsewhere.
I'm gonna say it's gonna be a lot tougher to have a situation like that I just had with Frank Kaminsky.
Yeah.
Where he just had a couple years where he didn't play much and he just developed and then he
Mhm.
became a national player of the year. Like that's just it can still happen because I mean we just don't know each individual player's mindset. There might be people who are fine doing that.
Mhm.
It's just that I think it's going to be rarer.
Right. Yeah. Definitely and I think don't think we have the full picture yet.
No. And again, I don't think how it is right now is going to be how it is in like 5 years. I think
Mhm.
eventually you're going to find some ways to get a little bit more, maybe restrictive is not the right word, but just like to make it not so wide open like it is right now.
Mhm.
But we're just not there yet because we're still relatively early into this, wide open transfer portal / NIL era.
Mhm. Yep. And then yeah, you mentioned that too. I mean, they got a couple Australian kids coming. I mean, that's heights and some pro experience too. So I'm intrigued.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued on how this is all going to work out. So, all right, let's take our final break for the second hour. We'll wrap up that second hour. Then we got cream of the crop and pump the brakes or full throttle. Plus picks and predicts, including Final Four. Women's side tips off tonight, men tomorrow. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Have you started your spring cleaning yet? Hey, don't worry if you haven't. I haven't either. But spring cleaning doesn't just have to be dusting off the shelves or cleaning the windows. It should also be for doing some updating and remodeling in your home. And now that maybe you have some extra money from your tax return, don't you want to invest it into something that will last? But what do you invest in? Well, you invest in new floors, whether it's for your home or workspace. Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire is your flooring headquarters. If it's carpet, luxury vinyl planks, or tile you seek, they've got the best options at the best prices in the area. Our family has used Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire many times over the years, and we have been so impressed with each project, from carpeting the stairs and bedrooms to tiling the man cave and vinyl floors in the laundry room. Carpet City Flooring Center helps select the best floor for each project that fit within our budget, and they will do the same for you. So give them a visit and let the team at Carpet City Flooring Center help you totally transform your space with some brand new, awesome looking floors. Carpet City Flooring Center, also partner of the Mobile Man Cave, that we will be taking to the draft. So another partner of the Mobile Man Cave, Hy-Vee. When it comes to one-stop shopping, there's truly only one store in the Chippewa Valley that can carry that title, and that's Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. From grocery shopping and picking up some new team apparel in their sports shop to grabbing a beverage at the bar, picking up something from their massive wine and spirits department, Hy-Vee has something for everyone. And if you want someone else to cook for the night, they got you covered with many different options from their food court. Then when you head out, don't forget to fill up your gas tank with the fuel savers that you earned from shopping at Hy-Vee. Josh with a quick text, NIL opinion. Last football season was what I had hoped in football. Non-traditional teams played much better than in years past because they can poach players at big schools and allow them to play. But in hoops, it's the opposite. You don't need a roster of 22 starters. You need 5. And this tournament shows the rich get richer. And it's kind of disappointing that the Cinderella may have died. I know NIL is here to stay, but I hope it goes to more of a Euro soccer style where you have to pay the old team to transfer a player to your school. At least the smaller schools could get some compensation rather than just being completely out of both money and that great player.
It's an interesting idea. And
No.
I mean, you have, when you have coaches that leave, oftentimes you have buyouts.
That's
So
true.
you kind of wonder if you might do something similar like that with players.
Yeah, that's
Whereas it's kind of like, if you stay 1 year, it's a, X amount. If you stay 2 years, it's Y, 3 years, whatever.
Isn't that something similar to, in certain aspects, for Major League Baseball? Wasn't there something like if you lose a player, you get compensated? What, like the Corbin Burns thing, wasn't
Well,
it?
yeah, like if that was the qualifying offer.
Okay, okay, so yeah. Oh, so yeah, you get a draft pick or
Yeah,
something
that's
like that.
like with the Brewers with Willie Damas. They offered him a
That's what it
qualifying
was.
offer, which is a 1-year deal for like $21-22 million. But if the player refuses it, then you get a pick between the first and the second round.
Okay, I think I was thinking of the Corbin Burns one because if he would have left, then they would have gotten like a first.
Yeah,
late
and they
first round or
essentially
something.
got the comp pick anyway,
Right,
because they had
exactly.
it's the pick they got from the Orioles was essentially at that same spot.
Gotcha.
So it was essentially the same.
Yeah, should there be buyouts for players? That's interesting.
Yeah,
That's it. I'll be honest, I never kind of thought of it that way.
yeah.
Huh. We'll see. Maybe. But yeah, I mean, coaches have all these buyouts. Some are, I mean, the Buzz Williams one was only $1 million, but there's certain dates where they can.
Right.
You
But
know.
and that's why it's like if it's if you stay for 1 year and then transfer somewhere else, it could be, I'm just going to throw a number out there, say $100,000. It might be way more, it might be way less, I don't know, but
right.
And then if you stay 2 years, it's 75,000, like
That's like not everybody's gonna do the buyout like Jimbo Fisher had, where they're gonna fork over. What was it, like 70 million or something like that? I mean, jeez.
Good on Jimbo. He's set.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, okay, I'll take a little bit of a vacay here. So, but interesting. That might make a very good poll question. I'm gonna have to thank you for sending that, Josh. I like that. I'm gonna write that down.
He's writing it down.
I'm
I can
writing
see
it down. I like that.
Along with his other scribbles on that page.
Yep. Once in a while I make notes. It's not in my other notebook though that you make fun of me. So that's the permanent stuff. This is erasable stuff. So it's one of these rocket books that you erase.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, all right, only a couple minutes left here. Then we'll get to some cream of the crop and some full throttle or pump the brakes or full throttle coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. Then we'll get back to some more baseball, throw in some more football talk too as we get closer to to the NFL draft, and then Final Four, women's tonight, men's tomorrow. And it is pretty chalkish, Brandon, but I'm excited for both these because I
Yes.
think they're really good matchups.
Yeah. And the women's, the Juju Watkins injury was really unfortunate because obviously USC had a real shot to be there. But
And that would have been a really good game with UConn, I think, if Juju was there. Yeah.
But yeah, both of these, I mean, you've got, I think you make a very good case. You've got the best teams in the country. It's not just the hottest teams. And look, we all love it when a team makes a run too. It's just different this year.
And then, with the SEC being as deep as they are, it just kind of is like Auburn, Florida. It's another, yes, it's like an SEC championship to go to the national championship. But I mean, it's the conference that was the deepest this year.
Yep.
And you got the top two facing each other for the right to go to the national championship.
And it's funny because like entering the Elite Eight, it's like, ooh, could they? Because remember when I picked them to have 4 Final Four teams.
Yeah.
It's like, do they have 4? And it's like, ooh, are they going to have any? And then, no, they do.
Mm-hmm. And then on the flip side, you've got Duke, traditional powerhouse, potential number 1 pick, but the best defensive team in the country in Houston. So there's intriguing matchups and really good matchups on both sides.
There is.
And the top 5 in our bracket all have the same Final Fours, but I believe at least 3 or 4 have different champions. So
interesting.
Yeah. And Hudson beat me again. He's in second right now. So
nice.
Yeah.
Who's Hudson's champion?
Auburn.
All right.
So but the thing is, I can make a case. I think everybody can make a case for each one of these 4. I have no idea what I would do right now.
And that does make it good.
Mm-hmm. And I was a little bit nervous because Auburn's big man getting hurt, but
sounds like he's going to be all right.
He's going to play. So I think that's going to be a fantastic game with Florida. And yeah, if Houston can bring that defensive flair that they can against Duke,
they smothered Tennessee.
Yeah, they did.
Smothered my bracket too, but they smothered Tennessee.
And, we talked about Duke and Alabama, the way Alabama was just dominating against BYU, and then Duke goes out there and takes care of business against them. So, yeah, I'm excited for tomorrow night for those games, but we'll talk a little bit more about that coming up here in the final hour too. Send your cream of the crops. We'll get to some of them if there's some good ones there too. Plus, we'll play a little Pump the Brakes or Full Throttle, brought to you by AJM Automotive. Shot clock's going to kick off here in just a few seconds. I'm trying to time it out right now. There you go. 2 in, 1 to go. We got some news updates, and we'll be back to finish up the final hour after these quick words. Final hour on this Friday morning. A good morning, everybody. Hopefully, you're all off to a fantastic start. A lot of you probably already at work or getting on over there. So, we're going to do some AJM Automotive Pump the Brakes or Full Throttle coming up here in just a little bit. We're going to do a little cream of the crop. C-Bomb earlier said, I'd love to give Sal Frelick my cream of the crop, but it has to go to Freddie Peralta from the other night. 8 strong innings, 8 Ks, 2 hits. The dude was a monster. And I will say, no walks in his 2 starts either.
Yeah, he was
too.
efficient.
That's,
like he had like one, I think it was like maybe like the second inning he threw a decent amount of pitches, but otherwise he was very efficient. Like that's how you go 8 innings. You have to be, especially on less than 100 pitches. You have to be efficient. You have to be throwing strikes.
Yep, exactly. So, who's? Oh,
Hey,
let me play it up. All right, Mr. Berg, who is your cream of the crop?
Mine's very, very simple this week. I'm just gonna go with Giannis. I mean, obviously, you mentioned it: 35 points, 17 rebounds, 20 assists.
Kind of man. It's a song, isn't it? I'm just a simple kind of man, right?
He's trying to sing "Simple Man."
Yeah, I don't
That's
have a
not quite the
voice.
words, but
it's not. What is it?
Be a simple kind of man.
Be a simple kind of man. Okay.
Yeah. But
did you have to sing it in your head before you could?
I had to kind of speak it as I went along, but your tone threw me off on it. So,
Yeah.
but
Well,
yes, no, I mean,
I have the voice of an angel.
It's like Fergie. 35 points, 17 rebounds, 20 assists. We talked about it already, but just like, kind of like you said earlier, just like don't kind of overlook, just Giannis and what he's done.
Yep.
And what he will continue to do.
Yep. So no, I mean, honestly, I was kind of thinking of that one too. I mean, that's a don't want to downplay it by any means by saying it's a simple one because it's absolutely fantastic.
But right now he's second in the league in points, 6th in rebounds, 16th in assists, which people might not have maybe thought of.
Right.
6th in field goal percentage. Like, come on.
What?
No, just come on.
Oh, I thought you said. I thought you were gonna say something. You said, "Oh,
doing my best, Jimmy Vollmer from South Park. Come on."
Well, mine's pretty simple too for my cream of the crop. I know some people may be bored with it, but I think they're a fantastic match. I'm going with the Final Four for both the men's and women's basketball because I think when you got UConn, UCLA which is kind of weird to say because I think we're so used to the men's, but for the women's side, UCLA makes it for the first time in the Final Four, and they're a 1 seed. But the reward is UConn and Paige. You got Paige Beckers in her final 1-2. But I think that's going to be a good matchup. And thank you, UCLA. It was UCLA that took down LSU, right? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And then you've got on the flip side, powerhouse South Carolina, and then Texas. You got 2 1 seeds going up there too.
SEC rematch.
Yep. And we talked about it with the men's side a little bit there. I just think this is going to start tonight, tomorrow, Sunday, Monday. 4 straight days of, I think, amazing college basketball.
Very good basket hoops.
So, cream of the crop, college basketball for the next 4 days. Should we do a little pump the brakes or full throttle?
Yes.
Presented by AJM Automotive. If you're not familiar with what we do, I will throw out a couple of narratives or questions or phrases or statements. That's what I'm looking for. I'll throw out a couple statements, and Brandon and I will say, pump the brakes on that, as in, nah, I don't know if I'm ready to go with that, or I don't know if I agree with that, or full throttle, yes, heck yes. Let's all go through that one. Okay? Why are you looking at me like that? God, you're a creeper. So with today being the showcase day for Colorado and Deion Sanders, aka a pro day, if I were a team drafting or seriously interested in drafting Travis Hunter, great player, great college player, right? I would focus on him just playing one position in the NFL. Pump the brakes or full throttle?
I'm going to say pump the brakes, but I think that he should focus one way primarily. But my thinking is if he's a corner, and I think he's probably a corner full time, but like I still think you can utilize him, 3 or 4 possessions a game, maybe a possession a quarter offensively, something like that.
So kind of like Dion did for a
A
hot
little bit,
minute.
yeah. Just I just think that it's too unique of a talent to not try to see what you can do there. And if you try and it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. But I don't think you can just write it off and say, well, you're a one-way player now when he's been able to do it in college both ways. I think that at least earns an opportunity to try.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pump the brakes too, because I think if you have a guy that can do what it's going to help you win games, right?
And let's put it this way. Chances are he's going to a team that could use it.
Right.
Because he's going to be picked pretty high.
Right. So let me ask you, if it's the Browns, do you think it's corner or wide receiver primarily? Because I think there's still I think it depends on teams, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I don't know if has he come out and said which one he prefers?
I don't know. If he has, I don't remember.
Okay.
But I've thought of him as a corner, but he can also play receiver. But you mentioned the Browns, like they might need a little more help at receiver. I mean, they could use a lot of help at quarterback, but obviously, how do you help a quarterback? You help him with a receiver.
Giants.
I would still say corner there. I mean, I think that's where they need more help. I mean, but even then, like you throw him out there a possession a quarter, and he's opposite Malik Neighbors. Like that's a lot to pay attention to.
Is he the most fascinating pick in this draft?
I think so. I think so. Like the quarterback, or at least we know Cam Ward probably will, but like the quarterbacks are going to probably go high. I mean, we'll see about what happens with Shedeur, but like all I know is I'm very happy that my team doesn't need to draft a quarterback this year because I'm not super high on either of them.
Yeah.
And the Titans are kind of in a tough spot because they have to. And then you look at their team as well, where you got Brian Callahan, who's in the second year. Like if it doesn't go well, he might be gone.
Yeah.
So he's probably trying to, throw that out there of like, hey, let's draft a quarterback. Maybe that can kind of get in the ownership's head to give him a little more time. But like all things being equal, I don't think Cam Ward is a number 1 overall pick, like caliber. But he's probably going to be just because of need.
It's not like last year.
No. I'm very glad my team decided to pick a quarterback last year. Obviously, it didn't work out great.
JJ was in the draft this year, would he be number 1?
Assuming that he did something similar, assuming his,
say it was the same season, but
yeah, I think he would. I think he would.
I do too.
I mean, I've seen people say that like if Sanders and Ward were in last year's class, they would have been, ranked right around Bo Nix, which is in that same ballpark.
Right. Pump the brakes or full throttle. I just blanked on here because I had somebody.
You can't read your handwriting?
I didn't write this down. No, somebody's using the bat line and distracting me right now. Pump the brakes or full throttle. When it's all said and done, Giannis will be viewed as a top 10 player of all time.
That's tough because that's such a hallowed group to crack into. I'm going to say pump the brakes, but that he's just outside because just the amount of respect I have for the 10 that are going to be in there. Like that. Yeah, that's no slight on Giannis. I hope he does because obviously that means a lot more great things coming his way. But
do you think, because I agree with you, I'm going to pump the brakes. I think top 20 for sure.
Yes.
If he wins multiple championships, then I think he's
got
a shot.
Yeah, it helps
in there. But you're right. You start doing the list in your head, right? I mean, it's Jordan, it's LeBron, it's Duncan, it's Magic, it's Bird, Kareem.
Like suddenly, I mean, you're already more than halfway full.
Exactly. So I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot, and that's not a slight on Giannis.
That just speaks to the depth.
Exactly, and it's not a slight on Giannis. It's not a slight on the other guys too. It's just he will be viewed as one of the best of all time. I mean, he's already top 75 made that list, and in 22 years, whatever it is, when they do the top 100, he'll be on there too.
And you'll be an elderly man with that top 100 poster on your wall.
I wish I still had a top 51 as a kid. Who's Dolph Shays? Because he was on there. I'm like, it was a good history lesson, like finding out some of those guys. So, but Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna pump the brakes on that too, but it's just like kind of the cat, and I'm not stomping on the brakes. I'm just like, slowly putting my foot down on the brake pedal for that one. But pump the brakes or full throttle, the Masters will suffer one of its latest or lowest ratings of all time next weekend because of no Tiger.
I think they'll be down, but to say, I mean, I don't know the context of the lowest, but I'm going to say pump the brakes. I think there'll still be enough interest there. But yeah, having no Tiger definitely hurts, but trying to think of what the lowest would be, like that's just a superlative. I don't know if it's going to go that far.
You big words there. So how, just generally, let's say top 5 lowest rankings. I say ratings. I think what doesn't help is that Tiger was out, like it was already announced a while ago. It's next weekend. And I feel like the hype isn't there already because I remember the last couple of years, and the Masters were doing this on their Facebook page, for crying out loud, posting pictures of Tiger at practice rounds preparing for the Masters and saying, look who's here, and pumping it up, and it got people excited and pumped up. You're not getting that vibe, or you're not getting that this year. And I think it's like, oh yeah, it's next week. I'll admit it. I love the Masters. It's my favorite golf tournament, but I'm like, oh yeah, it's next week. Like that it's lost a little bit for me. So I am going to, I do say it's going to be one of the lowest rated Masters that we've seen, because unless, I will say this, unless we get to Sunday and a guy like Rory is in contention.
Yeah, you need someone. Yeah, the biggest thing that can save them is obviously going to be a competitive tournament, but you're going to need some big names in contention going into Sunday. You can't have one guy up by 4 or 5 strokes. And
well, I don't, and this isn't a knock on him, but if it's Scotty Scheffler in contention again, I don't know if that draws it, because people, yeah, we saw that already a couple times.
Right. If he's up, if he's up there 4 or 5 shots ahead of everybody else, then yeah. If you've got somebody going into the final day that's like right on his heels, okay, then I could buy that.
Or if it's got to be a name person, I think.
Yes, it does.
If it's an amateur or an unknown, but if it's Rory, and especially if it's like Rory versus Koepka or DeChambeau or something like that, then okay, then that's the caveat. But I honestly feel like the one golfer in this field, and that's not a slight on them, but the star power that can get the eyes going, it's got to be Rory if it's not Tiger. And if it's Rory that's going to be able to get that Masters one, then that might save him. If I'm the Masters, if I'm Augusta National, I'm hoping that Rory wins this tournament. That just because if I'm CBS, I'm hoping that Rory wins this tournament, because I feel like he's the only other golfer that can get close. Nobody will touch Tiger, and nobody will touch Tiger with the crowds following him around the course when he's in contention. But the next closest to me is Rory, given the current field.
Yes.
I don't see, Dustin Johnson can't do that. Brooks Koepka can't do that. I don't even think DeChambeau might be close, but not to a Rory level, I don't think. I'm trying. Colin Morikawa, no. Spieth, no. No. It's Rory. And Scheffler's really good. It's just he's boring. And I don't mean that as a knock. It's just he's boring.
Yeah.
And he's just so dang good, but it's just like, where's the, he doesn't do the dramatic flair or personality. It's just he's boring at times.
Yeah, he's just very workmanlike. He goes about his business. He's very good at what he does. But yeah, it's not the show.
Yeah. I thought something fell and you were looking at it over there. My bad. So, what are you doing?
Look at my phone.
Oh, somebody texting your bat line too?
Yes.
The bat line over there, and yeah, people are texting my bat line too. Text us on the Shoe Doctor's bullpen line. Stop distracting Brandon over there. So let's do one more, and then we got to take a quick break here, and we'll get back to some more baseball talk. Receiver defer. Pump the brakes or full throttle after the first week of the Major League Baseball season. First impressions. 3 NL West teams will make the postseason.
I'm gonna say full throttle.
Yeah.
I think I mean that was pretty realistic to me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean I could see Dodgers, D-backs.
So let me rephrase it quick. NL West, after what we saw the first week, have the better chance to get 3 teams in the NL
Yeah,
East.
full throttle. Full throttle.
Okay.
I mean, for the first few days, we can talk a lot about just how bad of a start it was for the Brewers, but it wasn't as bad as the Braves.
Yeah.
Braves are still looking for the first win, right?
Yeah,
they lost Jerkson Profar to a PED suspension,
and he can't play in the postseason.
He can't play in the post. Like, it could always be worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Braves are 0-7. Now the caveat to that is they did play Dodgers and Padres.
But those are teams. But those are teams that, if ultimately they end up going for a wild card, like there's no tiebreaker. So
yeah. So I'm gonna go full throttle too, because I will say it's just first weekend, but I will say this, that I feel like the Padres have kind of surprised a little bit, because you look at the NL West, I think Dodgers, but then it's like old Diamondbacks, they got Corbin Burns, they're going to be a playoff team there. Giants made moves in the offseason to bring in Willie Adames and that, and I felt like the Padres were just like kind of there. Nobody was really kind of maybe talking about them too much, but they're off to a fantastic start, and you got to give them credit. So yeah, Dodgers, Padres, and then you throw the Diamondbacks in there, and Giants are off to a really good start. Sorry, Rockies. The one thing the Rockies have, though, according to Buster Olney, best starting pitching ERA.
That's crazy. Like, them and the White Sox for a while were like 1-2.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like, yeah, the Rockies is a whole nother thing. That's a fan base that deserves better than the ownership it has, because they still support that team, even though ownership hasn't really done much to legitimately try to improve that team.
Yeah, this was 4 hours ago. Buster Olney, starting pitching team ERA through the first week of the season. Rockies 1.35, Rays 1.59, the Reds 2.06, and then it's the Dodgers at 2.14. Dead last is the Twins 7.59.
The Brewers leapfrog the Twins. Those last 2 days must have helped.
Must have helped, because Buster only does top 4, then the bottom 4, and Brewers aren't listed.
Those last 2 days have really flipped that script.
So we know.
Well, I mean, between the three starters, they allowed 1 earned run.
Yeah.
So that'll do it.
Well, I mean, here's another nugget for you for this Brewers one that I saved here. It is, where is it at here?
I don't know.
I'll bring it up here. I think I either liked it or retweeted it. I do both to try to save some interesting nuggets that I always find out there. But essentially it was, here it is. Brewers' first 33 innings pitched. 45 earned runs, a 12.27 ERA. Last 26 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 0.34 ERA. So that's the last 3 games, essentially, right?
Yep.
So, yeah.
It's baseball.
Yep. Chad Patrick saved the season for the Brewers.
Early on, I'm going to say this, and if the Brewers end up having a good year, you know who saved the season? The fan that caught the trio home run ball and then did the SpongeBob SquarePants bring it around town dance. That guy,
That's not your cream of the crop?
Thought about it. That guy flipped the vibes. I'm just throwing that out there right now.
All right, we got to take a quick break. That's your Pump the Brakes or Full Throttle, brought to you by AJM Automotive. We'll talk some more baseball coming up after these quick words. Your new go-to spot in the Chippewa Valley is the VFW Post 305, located on Star Avenue in Eau Claire. Whether you're looking for somewhere for some breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or a place to hang out with some great entertainment and events, you can't beat what the VFW Post 305 has to offer. Great food menu, a wide selection of beverages and bands on the weekends. Plus, with spring here and summer right around the corner, you cannot beat the view of their patio facing the river. So the next time you're thinking about where to have breakfast, lunch, dinner, or just have a good time, that answer is simple. It is the VFW Post 305 on Star Avenue in Eau Claire. All right, let's talk some, what do we got here? Okay, talk some more baseball, Brandon. All right, as getting ready for Reds and such. First week impressions. Was there a team though across Major League Baseball that kind of surprised you coming out of the gate right away, either in a good or bad way?
I guess maybe the Cardinals a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, and rightfully so, they were kind of maybe the forgotten team in the NL Central, and they've gotten off to a decent start. I mean, ultimately, I don't expect that to last. I just think they're kind of old at this point. But I mean, getting off to a good start, kind of obviously, putting a little bit of the pressure on there early. That was a little bit of a surprise to me, I would say.
I was reading MLB.com. Had 6 teams most in need of a strong opening month. And this was the list they had. They had Astros on here, who are 3-4 right now. Blue Jays 5-2. Got the Cubs 5-4. Padres, who are 7-0, and then the Twinnies, who are 2-5. Yankees 4-2. So interesting list, I think, over there. But I could see why they made some of those picks, right? Sure. So, yeah, definitely. I mean, you look at the Cardinals and what they did, especially the opening round series, sweeping the Twinnies. I mean, that was enjoy it while it lasts, is what you're saying to Cardinals fans. We've got Cardinals fans who listen, Brandon.
Oh boy, well,
one of them. We're going to be hanging out with at draft.
That's true. That's true.
So you got to be nice.
Maybe I shouldn't have been throwing a little bit of shade just a few weeks before we're going to be seeing them. So.
Exactly. Crying out loud, Brandon.
My goodness. I'm going to be exiled outside the fence.
Yeah. So, I'm Braves. I get it. But I don't know if I'm ready to panic. It's not a great start, but it's the Profar one is what's kind of the biggest.
Right. Because that was a big free agent signing for them.
Yeah. And missing 80 games, but I think the killer in that is he can't even, when he comes back, he can't play in the postseason, though.
Right.
That's like, ooh, yikes. So that to me is like more, is it fair to say that's more detrimental than losing your first 7?
Yes.
Because I'm like, ooh, yikes. I like the Blue Jays start, to be honest with you. AL East, we talked about that. Yankees and Red Sox were the popular pick. Didn't really know with Baltimore, but Blue Jays, we kind of thought, okay, this might be the final year with kind of a lot of those guys. Vlad Guerrero Jr. entering his final year. They were always like the last few years, that team a lot of people picked to
kind of break through, but it hasn't really happened yet.
Yeah. So I think, they're off to a good start in that division. We'll see if it lasts. But yeah, I'd probably go Blue Jays a little bit. So, which I want to throw out a question to you and others out here. When it comes to baseball hats, bear with me now, Brandon. Is it okay, and this can just be in sports in general, but I need people to text me this. Is it okay to wear a hat of a team that you're not necessarily a fan of? Now, it doesn't have to be division rival, but I like the Blue Jays logo. I wouldn't call myself a Blue Jays fan. But is it acceptable in the sports fandom world, to wear a hat just because you like that logo, if it's not a division rival? Because I'll say, I like the Orioles look too.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind donning a Baltimore or Toronto hat.
I don't. Like, I wouldn't, but that doesn't mean I don't think other people shouldn't either.
Right. So this is the thing, like, because I'm very superstitious and a little situous. So I don't know what I should do. Like, I love those looks. We've done like podcasts.
Yeah, we've done that. We've done that. But like, you need to find a way to get just one hat that's got like both of them on it.
Well, they make the hats with all the logos on there. That's just ugly. But
you missed your chance at the the infamous spring hats from baseball this year with the logo in the middle of the.
Oh no, that thing was ugly. That was ugly.
You don't want to get the Texas Rangers one or the Oakland A's one?
No,
that had
it's not Oakland.
Or the A's one that had there we go. Do we got a jar here? I can put a quarter in or something. But the ones that were very popular because of reasons.
Yeah. Yep. No, it's like this is like I want it. I love those looks. I love the Blue Jays in Baltimore, but I'm like, is that acceptable? Like, I need opinions from sports people out there.
That AL East, when you look at that, that's just really clean with their.
Yeah. Tampa Bay is the outlier
yeah,
one, but
because you got those, and obviously Yankees and Red Sox are just iconic. So like that's just very clean.
And I don't want to get like, oh, everybody wears I'm not talking Yankees or Boston, where they just get it just.
But you're not doing it for street cred.
Mm-hmm. No,
you're doing it because you like the logo.
I like the logo. It's a sharp look. The orange and the white and the black and
I feel like
the
time I think you can really do this, and we've talked about this too. I think maybe off air is just like for like minor league ones.
Minor league. Oh, I 100% want to get some minor league ones. I got to see if they've got any more of the frozen pizza ones because they sold out of the ones I wanted to get right away. I got to see if they got those. We might have to make a quick trip to Timber Rattler Stadium when we go over there and maybe pick up a hat if they got them in their pro shop and such. We may have to do that. Or if C-Bomb's going and he's staying in Appleton, he might have to stop there. Somebody's got to give me one. I don't want to pay shipping if I don't have to. But yeah, I got to get minor league 100%. I mean, if I had like an endorsement from Lids, I would just probably get all minor league baseball hats. I want the Rough Rider, like the Teddy Roosevelt one. I want the Exploding Pandas.
Trash Pandas.
Trash Pandas. Exploding Trash Pandas.
Exploding Pandas.
That's right. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you want the Rocket City Trash Pandas.
The Rocket City Trash Pandas. Yes, those 100%. But is it acceptable? Like, because I'm a Brewers fan. I'm wearing a Brewers hat. Can I get away with wearing a Baltimore or a Toronto hat? Not just because it's a fashion thing either. Yeah. Like I guess it kind of is.
This isn't this isn't like wearing a Raiders hat in the early 90s.
No, with the satin starter jacket too. Like
those are pretty sweet though.
I got a Packer one. We might have to don it.
Are you gonna bring along?
Well, depending on the weather.
For if it's like a brisk morning.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But that's why I don't know if that like violates sports fandom laws. And I need some input on this.
You want to know before you commit.
Because let's face it, hats are expensive these days.
They are.
I purposely didn't buy so the draft hats, I got one. I texted it to you.
Yes, you did.
But I didn't get the one with a pin because I could not convince myself to spend $50 on a hat. I couldn't do it. And I'm like, you're talking $10-15 more for the pin. I couldn't do it. So because I mostly just wanted to get the draft hat because we're going. Like I got a draft hat from when we went to the Chicago one. I don't wear it, but it's in the man cave.
Yeah.
One, it doesn't fit me.
Your hat too fat?
I might try it now.
Has your hat grown? Is your head grown?
It shrunk actually.
Your head shrunk?
It did. The weight loss thing?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I know.
Wow.
I know. A little bit. I've noticed that my hats, I've had to readjust the snapbacks a little bit. But yeah, so like the new draft one, it's sitting next to the other one. And I couldn't. But if I want to if I get a Blue Jay or a Baltimore one, it's got to be the legit player hat, like the Brewer one I'm wearing right now.
Yes.
And that's what, 40-some bucks. So I don't want to spend 40-some bucks, but it violates sports fandom code.
And you don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that. So I don't know if I can get away with that or not. Again, I would never don a Vikings one. I would never don a Bears one. I would never don a Cubs one. I would never don a Cardinals one or anything like that. What are you looking up now?
Oh, nothing.
Okay. I don't like it when you do that. Pay attention to class. Okay.
I'm still getting a B.
Just getting by. B with getting by. So
C's get degrees, baby.
That was, yeah. Oh man, that's another one. Best hat logo is the old Expos. Reminds me of Pedro Martinez, Moises Alou, and Vladimir Guerrero.
Yeah. Yeah.
I still want a Hartford Whalers jersey. Or sweater. I'm sorry. Hartford Whalers sweater. I think it's acceptable. I'm a Brewers fan. Sometimes I wear a Mariners hat, but I mainly wear it because Griffey was my favorite player growing up. Okay. I did have a white. For whatever, I don't know why. As a kid, I was a White Sox fan, so I had a White Sox hat. I remember buying an old school Florida Marlins hat at Kmart in Medford. That was a big deal for me. Had the green. Remember the green
Yeah,
under the bill with those old school
like
hats?
the
That
teal.
yeah. No, the green.
Oh, the green.
Like every hat had was that a thing? Remember, like it didn't matter.
Could be,
It
yeah.
was just green under the bill, like 100 green or something. Like it didn't matter your team. Like if it was black, it had. Jeez, Louise, breaking stuff too. God. We're trying to pack up and move, and you're just
You're not doing it
breaking
very quickly.
stuff over there. For crying out loud. Spence says, I personally find no problem wearing ball caps with teams in the AL just for the sake of their results won't matter to our Brewer fandom until the earliest is World Series, so it wouldn't make a difference to me. So it sounds like AL's okay, but NL's no. National League is a no-no. Okay. You have no opinion on it?
I already gave my opinion.
You wouldn't do it?
But like I said, I wouldn't, but that doesn't mean I don't think others.
But why wouldn't you do it? Tell me why wouldn't you do it?
Just how I am.
Okay.
But again, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that's just how I feel.
Okay.
Okay, Dan.
Okay, Brian.
Okay, Dan.
Okay.
Dan, okay.
So you're saying I like those looks.
Yeah.
I want some sweet looking hats. I feel like baseball is the one you can get away with.
Yeah, and maybe it's
you know what I'm getting at? Like,
yeah.
like I feel like football would be weird. Like I feel like football, you got your one team and that's it.
Yeah, like if you really like the Buffalo Bills logo, would you get a Buffalo Bills hat?
No. Like I feel like, so I guess it turns into the question, which sport are you more passionate or fandom? I mean, baseball is yours, but I feel like it'd be more acceptable to wear another logo from another one than baseball than it would be for football. Basketball is in the middle.
Yeah.
A little bit more in the middle. I feel like because I once in a while I would wear a T-Wolves thing because I knew a buddy of mine that worked for the T-Wolves, but I'd wear like a T-Wolves polo or something, But baseball I feel like is more acceptable. It's more of a the Baltimore one, I'd need the face of the Oriole though. Which
bird face?
Bird face of there, not like the older one. You know what I'm talking about. I would, yeah. So, all right. Plus, yeah, I'll think about it more. Hats are expensive though. Hats for bats. Hats for torpedo bats.
Big hats.
Big
like
hats.
helmets for torpedo bats.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got to take a quick break, and we'll do some picks and predicts coming up after these quick words. From the moment you visit Toyson Ford in Chippewa Falls, you're more than just a customer. You are an honored guest. Purchasing a vehicle can be a nervous undertaking, but with Toyson Ford's pressure-free environment, drivers in the Chippewa Valley can take comfort in knowing they are in the best of hands because the awesome team at Toyson Ford will work with you to help you find that vehicle that fits your needs and your budget. So give them a visit today at 1000 Chippewa Crossing Boulevard in Chippewa Falls, or check them out online at toysonford.net. Speaking of hats, I got to go buy a new Express hat too with their color scheme over there. Also, you know what season it is, Brandon? It's pothole season, and potholes mean loose debris on the road that kick up and hit your windshield, leaving a lovely crack in that windshield. Now what do? Simply give a visit or give a call to the experts at Post Glass and Mirror, where their specialists will quickly repair chips and cracks to your windshield. You can trust the fine folks at Post Glass and Mirror in Chippewa Falls to get you back to safe driving by repairing that cracked windshield. Give them a call at 715-229-3754 or visit them online, postglassandmirror.com. Resident Cardinals fan Timmy with text saying, have no interest in the Reds, but appreciate their history and love the old school logo, even though they reside in the NL Central. And he sent a picture of the old school Reds logo.
The red leg.
Yep.
Kind of, yeah. Oh yeah.
Wear whatever gear you want, regardless of fandom. But if you go with a flat brim, I will judge you.
There we go.
We got down a rabbit hole, and I blame Brandon for this. I think it might be fair to say that the Timber Rattlers might be the best alternate identity minor league baseball team.
They're making a run for it.
Because there was a couple of them I didn't know that you just found. And it was Winnebago?
The Lake Winnebago Shantymen.
Which is a sturgeon.
Like a sturgeon fisher.
Sturgeon fisher on there. But
they're like a trident.
Yes. But what was the shirt that you found that said?
Oh, it said throwing spears and crushing beers.
Yeah. I mean, that, first of all, Jared Allen probably needs that for his elk hunting.
Yes.
But we might have to make a trip to Appleton.
We might. It's not far away, so.
And it will just be straight up. I might have to bring a couple. I'm sorry, I gotta sell some stuff and get a couple $100 just to get hats here, because then I'm gonna want one of their brought ones. I might have to get an Udder Tugger one, although it's
I just want I just want a T-Rats hoodie, but
you're gonna have to get the crushing beers, throwing spears and crushing beers hat. I mean, come on now, that's just
I don't do much of either these days, but yeah.
That's God, they're making a run with this, dude.
That's how you do it.
See, I can't do I will not get a normal one. I hate snakes and they scare the crap out of me, so I won't wear that. But
so if I get one and I wear it around you, I can be like, ooh, snakes.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't like it. But I'm a little worried because some of the other they're out of the pizza one, so that would be the one downer.
That pizza's logo is awesome.
Yeah.
We had the conversation a while back, but it surprised me that Wisconsin was the frozen pizza capital.
Mm-hmm.
But as I think about how much it is just like ingrained with so many things, like, yeah, it makes sense, I guess.
I never heard about the Lake Winnebago Shantymen. I never heard that one before. So, well done, Brandon.
There we go.
That's going to be quite the shopping list if we go.
Sorry, Veronica.
Quick trip there. So, no. It's sorry me, because now I got to figure out how I can get some extra coin to get some of this stuff here. All right, let's do some. I got to close this because now I'm just kidding.
Every time you see something, you just hear a ka-ching, ka-ching in your head.
Yep. Crushing beer, throwing spears and crushing beers. That's so cool. So you somehow have to figure out, as a Hall of Fame gift, to give that to Jared Allen.
There we go.
Him. And then he's got to wear it the next time he goes spear hunting for elk sitting in a tree. Let's do some picks and predicts, brought to you by the Elbow Room, located in Eau Claire, right next to the Banbury Place. Stop. You're not going to let that go now, are you?
I have not.
Let's start off with some college basketball, shall we? Make your final four picks and national champion for both of these, okay? Start off with the women's. UConn, UCLA.
UConn.
I'll go UConn too. South Carolina, Texas.
South Carolina.
And then
I'm gonna take UConn.
That's honestly where I'm going. I think Paige Beckers finishes her
career
with the champ. Yep. So I'm gonna go UConn. Men's. This is tough, dude.
This is.
Auburn, Florida.
I am going to go Florida.
I want my kid to win, but Florida's just playing really good. So I'm going to go Florida. I'm going to go with the Gators. And then Duke, Houston.
I'd say it, but I'm going to go Duke.
That's where I'm going too. I
Knock it off.
I want Houston, but
I do too. I'd like to see them break through, even though I guess getting to the Final Four kind of is a breakthrough, but still.
yeah, the way Duke's playing, it's Florida Duke, which if it is, who you picking then?
I will go Duke.
I'm probably going to go Duke too. So I hope on Monday when I'm here, it's Auburn and Houston.
Me too.
If it is Auburn, Houston, who would you pick?
Auburn.
Me too. Wow, look at us. We're
just great friends getting along.
We're the same. We don't disagree on anything.
Ever.
Let's do some baseball picks, shall we? Let's start off. Okay, we got Brewers Reds for the final 3 games of this series. How many wins for the Brewers with the unknown of the pitching?
I'm going to say one more. I'm going to say it's a 4-game split.
Okay.
Just with the uncertainty of the starting rotation. I do think the Reds will get going offensively a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
So I will take for the split.
I'm the same. So there you go.
Knock it off.
Dodgers, Phillies in Philly. How many wins for the Dodgers?
I think the Phillies 2 out of 3.
Ooh, I'm going Dodgers 2 out of 3. So there we go. We'll change it up a little bit.
How dare you?
Mm-hmm. I know. I'm a bad man. Let's do Padres visiting the Cubs.
Padres 2 of 3.
Same. Padres 2 of 3. Let's do. I'm trying to find some. How many wins for Atlanta going up against the Marlins, who have a winning record? 4 and 3.
This is where the Braves turn around 2 of 3.
Brave sweep.
Ooh.
Bold prediction. Well, we might as well just do the rest of these series. Let's do White Sox at the Tigers too. Tariq Skubal's 0-2.
Skubal. I will take the Tigers 2 out of the 3.
I'm gonna go Tigers too. How about St. Louis visiting the Boston Red Sox?
Ooh. I'll take the home team for 2.
Boston wins 2 out of 3. Toronto at the Mets.
Mets 2 of 3.
Juan Soto's got to get going a little bit.
He does.
I'm gonna go Toronto 2 out of 3. The A's and the Rockies.
I will take the Rockies over the blank A's.
I'm going A's. I'm gonna go A's. And we're doing series wins.
Yes. Yeah. 2 or 3. Yeah. If it's a sweep, I will say, but I don't think I'm gonna pick a sweep because I'm a chicken.
Yankees, Pittsburgh.
Yankees 2 out of 3.
Yankees sweep. Let's do. I'm just making sure some of these aren't like the 4-game too. Seattle and the Giants.
I'm gonna take the Giants 2 or 3.
I'm gonna go Giants as well. They're playing really good. Diamondbacks and the Nationals.
D-backs.
Yep, D-backs 2 out of 3. And then Baltimore, Kansas City. It's at Kansas City if that matters to you.
Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Baltimore 2 out of 3. Tampa, Texas.
Tampa.
I'm going Texas. And then finally, Cleveland and the Angels.
Cleveland.
Cleveland rocks. I'll go Cleveland too. So, all right.
Ohio.
Bucks. We'll do a couple of NBA games because the Bucks are in action this weekend, and they're going up against. Is it the Pelicans on the road? Pelicans. Or is it the Heat? Let me just bring it up. They play the Pelicans and the Heat. I think it's actually the Heat first. Let me double check. Yes, it is the Heat. So it's the Heat on tomorrow. Bucks or Heat tomorrow?
Bucks.
I'm gonna go Bucks. Yeah, I'll go Milwaukee, and then they play the Pelicans on Sunday. So both of these are on the road. Bucks 2-0, 1-1. You're gonna go split chicken?
I'm gonna go split chicken.
What?
Balk off.
Seriously, you're picking a split?
Yeah.
So they're losing to the Pelicans.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
No, Bucks win 2. They ain't losing to the Pelicans.
I'll be a chicken. A coodaloo, a coodaloo. It's an Arrested Development reference.
What's the Coastal Carolina?
The Chanticleers.
Chanticleers.
Did you see what they're doing?
No, what?
This fall, they have free concessions at football games. Like hot dogs, popcorn, like the
basics.
Yeah, but like soda, water.
So you're saying we need to go to
free? Yeah, they came out with a video for it this week.
The Chanticleers, the Coastal Carolina
Chanticleers
for just football.
I think it's for football.
Okay, well let's look at their schedule. See who they play.
How fancy are their chickens?
Virginia on August 30th. Oh, that's at Virginia though. So we got to make these. Got to be at Coastal Carolina. Nope. East Carolina at Coastal Carolina.
Isn't East Carolina on the coast?
It says East Carolina at Coastal Carolina. James Madison at Coastal Carolina. We could say hi to the new president, soon to be former UW Eau Claire Chancellor Schmidt, who's the new president, James Madison. So.
Yeah.
All right, that's in November though. That's the last game of the season.
Ooh.
So that's another hat I wouldn't mind getting as
the fancy chicken.
The fancy chicken, a Chanticleer. Chanticleer. That's got to be. Do they have a decent looking hat?
I think so. Their logo's pretty good, so I would think they would.
I gotta get a Coastal Carolina hat too. That's just come on now. Google it. I thought I did one time and it was just kind of a little underwhelming. Yeah, they actually are a little underwhelming, dude. Kind of. It's a little underwhelming for my taste.
That is a regal chicken. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Boom.
No, I'm. They could do so much better with this, and they're not.
Oh,
it's the hats are under. Yeah.
Just showing damn pictures of Chanticleers.
Of fancy chickens. So
fancy chickens.
The actual hats though are a little underwhelming. So they're gonna have to do better than this. Okay, this one's not bad, but that's a knockoff, so I don't want a knockoff.
Oh, here we go. It's the mascot riding a motorcycle.
A mini motorcycle. A mini bike. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So all right. Yeah, those are picks and predicts again brought to you by the Elbow Room in Eau Claire. So after we're done, I'm probably gonna make a shopping list of what we're gonna have to get at the Timber Rattler store. I think I might forego the Lake Winnebago hat, but get that shirt. Crushing Spears and Crushing Beers. That's awesome. I hope they have some left when we get there. Or we've just put together a big enough order and maybe we get some free shipping on top of that. Could do that too. That way we come prepared. Figure out what you're going to wear for the draft and just wear new minor league baseball hats every day, right? Rep that way. So I know for like spring sports season, it's
stuff's kind of gotten going a little bit, but I think next week will be looks like Mother Nature should hopefully be cooperating. So I think in the next week we'll be really kicking into full gear here.
I know for the Blue Golds, though, they start their golf season this weekend. So you got that going on. Softball is also in action. And you got baseball, lacrosse, tennis. So it's a busy weekend for the Blue Golds and for UW Stouts with all their spring sports in action, track and field. Also at it and such. So, yep. And then we're getting closer too, especially for the softball side of things, getting to some WIAC conference play, which will be huge for that. And I know some of the baseball games got rescheduled. You can go to bluegolds.com for some updated schedules for that. And I know probably getting anxious to get over to Carson Park and begin their home season for the Blue Gold baseball team. So, all right. So we've got Final Fours tonight for the women's team, Final Fours tomorrow for the men, National Championship for the women Sunday, National Championship Monday night for the men. Our favorite time of the sports year is starting to wrap up, Brandon, or actually halfway. Halfway?
Yeah.
Halfway.
Yeah.
Final Four, Masters, which I'm kind of meh this year, and then the draft.
It's right around the corner, man.
Draft is the final
3
one.
weeks from today, we will be in Green Bay.
We will be wrapping up our final program.
We will.
And then Friday is just kind of, we'll see what happens.
Free for all.
Free for all. Yep. So the countdown is on.
Do.
Europe. Mm-hmm. Good play. All right, DP Danitz, they're going to be in Green Bay for the draft as well. So I'm trying to get Paulie on. I'm putting the pressure on.
There you go.
If you've got X and Twitter, tweet at Paulie and say, dude, I'm trying to bribe him with some Man Cave Light too. So they could take it back to the Man Cave.
You might have to bribe him with some of that Timber Rattler stuff.
That too. Or some flannel. Have a good weekend. DP Dancer up next. We'll be back Monday morning, 6 a.m.